So to start, I'm going to ask everybody to introduce themselves and say what their role was project. Start with Royce.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
Royce, you start.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
lead. You have to.
All right, yeah. So I'm Alexis Royce. I'm good with either he or she pronouns, use them interchangeably, and I guess you'd call me the project lead.
I am Sushi. I'm they them, and I wrote a fair bit of this one. Of course, Royce wrote a lot of it too.
I'm Cami, she, her pronouns, and I did coding and Kion work.
Awesome. I'm Shannon Tuday, and I didn't hear the interview and get answered. So what was y'all's experience with video game design prior to this project, visual novel or otherwise?
We made this last year in March, and I've made a few visual novels beforehand. Most of them functioned more like a conversation simulator rather than like a full-on, 50 to 200,000 word like novel story sort of thing.
I helped on some of those games.
Yeah.
Being married, you kind of just like can't avoid your partner's creative projects. Like you could, but it would be worse for you.
Sometimes you gotta edit a fic, or sometimes you have to eat a polymer sculpture,
Yeah, once in a while.
Once in a while.
Morals.
And I joined doing the visual novels in 2020 and have been helping since.
How easy or difficult would y'all say making a visual novel is compared to making other games or to working in other art forms generally? And like, what are the strengths and weaknesses of visual novels? In your opinion, just like what is your opinion? Feel free to be very subjective. It doesn't like you.
For me, I've been doing webcomics since 2007, and to think about the difference between prose and comics specifically, I was working on comics as my art projects and stuff, and there was another student who wanted to do a comic and he'd never done one before, and he's like, oh, I'll adapt my novel for my final project. And his comic didn't get beyond the first paragraph of what he'd written. And, no offense to him for that, but, that's a big thing with prose, is that prose can move much, much, much faster than comics, and visual novels are a really great combination of the two, because, you get to use your words like a book, you get to use your visuals like a comic, you could have animation like a cartoon, but also, since readers have control over each click, you get to share control of time with them, the same way one would with a comic. And I think that that's really, really cool that it marries the strengths of so many different genres in it. As far as weaknesses, I'd say that there can be a really heavy intimidation factor for new readers, though. The word novel can be super scary for a lot of people, and I think that's fair. I mean, I love reading like a big brick of a novel, but there's few things worse than having to slog through difficult text, and if you have difficulty with reading comprehension, that can make it exceptionally not fun. So, I think the intimidation factor and just a lot of people not knowing what visual novels are can be a kind of detriment against the medium. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely intimidating to me, because I haven't been as diligent about reading since I left college. And,
Me either.
Yeah, so it just feels like I think that that's one of the challenges, but I do really like how much kind of like leeway you have for what kind of story you could tell in this medium. Like, I've always liked dialogue anyway, so this is kind of a great way to marry something lengthy, dialogue heavy, and even allow you to have choices that could branch you out. Obviously, that's more and more challenging as you get more choices into it, and I think that we haven't really built anything that was too difficult in that regard yet. With a lot of different kinds of endings or a lot of different things, and I really admire, like, the more I've tried making this stuff, the more I admire people who can make a story that branches deeply outward. Yeah, we're playing like Disco Elysium right now, and that's pretty.
Oh God, I can't imagine playing
So,
that game.
you learn more where you're like, oh my God, this person worked so hard. It's so incredible to imagine writing that. It is so intimidating.
Yeah, I've got something to say about that, but I think we should let Cammy talk first.
All right. Well, all I'll say is that the best thing about a visual novel is that the story and the characters are at the forefront, and I love like the Ace Attorney games. They're like one of my absolute favorites. And the thing I like most about making visual novels is that Renpai has a very strict and firm framework, but you can do things with it. And we really started getting into that with Serialized Killer, our September-October release. And it's just fun to be able to see how far you can push that rigid setup.
It can be good for creative, I guess, to have bound versus being able to do whatever.
We're losing you.
We're losing
You're
you.
cutting a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's good for creativity to have those boundaries, because then you could get more playful inside of them. And Royce, what was your other point about Disco Elysium?
Yeah.
Disco Elysium and kind of interactive fiction in general. It's a big thing. If you ever go to like VNConf or talk to just people who talk about like how to write for interactive fiction and visual novels, you're having your branches come back. You'll branch off for a while and then you'll want to come back to the main plot. A lot of people might have noticed that with choose your own adventure novels, or a lot of games where you'll get like a little bit of choice and things will diverge a little bit and then you're back to the same plot as everybody else, is actually kind of what people are taught as a way to make sure that your scope and the amount of stuff that you have to write doesn't get absolutely overwhelming. Because, it'd be very easy to end up with like writing multiple different novels. And there's lots of different stuff out there where, like, if people are talking about like Fate Stay Night, the different routes there are essentially different novels. And a lot of the classics by like Key or whatever would bring in different writers, because you kind of start off with one premise and then you'd get a bunch of different writers who would each kind of choose a heroine or a plot arc, and then they just write their own story. And unless you are, you have the budget and you are paying a bunch of writers to like write their own books, you kind of can't do that. You'll end up with too much to write. So you gotta kind of keep coming back.
Were inspirations from other like non-Lupin video games and media for this, and what were the big inspirations within the Lupin franchise itself? I assumed a lot of part 2, but that is an assumption.
You assume correct.
So
Yeah, definitely part 2. Early on in talking about it, I went back through some of our notes before this so that I could find the exact phrase. It was an 80-20 dub to sub ratio. So we wanted mostly Tony Olivier's tone and comfortably sloppy mannerisms, combined with like a little bit of Yamada cuteness. Like, there's some vocalizations that I had to struggle to not put in there when Yamada will be like, "Oh, wow." We did get an "ah-da-da-da" in there because come on.
I was thinking I remembered one when I played it. At least you gotta get at least one. And yeah,
it's
as Victor is saying, I'm not gonna do it on the laugh.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of really anything but a deluge of Lupin. But like I said, I really like to do things that are a little bit more like one-on-one, one NPC, one location conversation simulators. And so I guess in that way, I'm still kind of chasing the high of playing Emily Short's Galatea back in the day, which is like a text adventure straight up that's just like, you go to an art exhibit and you talk to one NPC, which is, Pygmalion statue Galatea, and you just talk to her the whole time. And it was really, really cool to just have such a fully fleshed out NPC back in the year 2000. It was rad.
Can you type that name out in chat?
Oh,
Spell it.
yeah, let me find the link for
Or if
that.
it's not in a position to link stuff y'all talk about.
Oh, no, not at all. Like, oh, I love that game.
It's phenomenal. Highly recommended.
Yeah, I remember when you played that you sent it to me, and I bounced off so hard because I was like looking at it going like, how do I do this? How do I play this game? But apparently it's good. I just haven't. I'm the least cultured here.
It's okay. Sometimes it can be a little hard to figure out how to play old IF games. But there you go. Just drop that in the chat. Oh, it's awesome. And I mean, Emily Short is still making stuff that I cannot wait to play. So, but we're not talking about that right now.
Yeah, Sushi,
I'm
what were
working on a
inspiration-
Fallen London game right now.
Oh, nice. Sushi, what were some? Would you just agree with what Roy said for the?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same track there. Basically, the Lupin inspiration. I think a huge icicle fell off her house just now. All right.
Oh. Ah.
It was a loud crunch. Sorry. We had a ton of Lupin. Like, we watched so much Lupin over pandemic times. We're still in them, so we still watch lots of Lupin. But you know, part 2 dub just brings me so much joy. Like, the second I put it on, it's silly and fun, and wanted to write something along those lines. For me, in terms of writing like cute, funny conversations that kind of end off on a joke, I always say my inspiration was tales of skits, tales of, you know, Symphonia or Berseria or whatever. They are JRPG games that have a lot of little like skits that just unlock in the middle of when you're walking around, and sometimes they're context sensitive. Like, you cooked bread 3 times and they're like, I'm so bored of bread, stop making bread. They just do cute little stuff like that. Like, if you have a character cook a meal that they're bad at or that they hate eating,
Yeah.
they will comment on it and they're like, no more jelly, I'm dying. Like, it's so good. And they're usually just about, you know, 6 to 10 lines, and they give you a laugh and they build character, and I love those, and that definitely is part of my inspiration when I write little joke scenes that are kind of more tight, you know, where it's like 10 lines, you know, you have to make a joke in that time, you have to build character in that time, and just kind of like zing, and that's it.
I actually didn't know that that was one of your inspirations. That's rad.
Oh, it's definitely been one of my inspirations since Morphe, which is a comic we wrote that is dead now. It was in Flash, so you can't find it. It's
Delivering that like a challenge.
no, I don't want anyone to find it, and they won't find it.
Honestly, sometimes it's
Say
nice
that.
to know that your old projects are just buried so deep that they'll never be touched again. It's wonderful.
This is partially a question from Twitter, and rolling some larger questions into it. Like, what was the early process for planning something like this, and the challenges planning it, and how does, like, is it Renpai? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work to plan? Like, you're talking about essentially some people plan multiple novels. Like, did you have any kind of like physical stuff with note cards? Or, and this goes for programming it too. I mean, we'll do the same order, but like the planning stages, like if someone wanted to
Yeah.
make a project like this.
There are a bunch of writing tools out there which I really should learn how to use. Usually I just open up my sketchbook and I'll make a flowchart. Both of you, did I make a flowchart for this game? Or did I just kind of...
You did not, and I was in hell.
Sushi and I eventually had to make a conversational flowchart for the flirting mechanic, but you weren't involved in that. You were very heavy on the art this time.
Yeah, you did not help even a little bit. I sat and like would walk around the neighborhood in absolute terror, just staying up till 3 a.m. like, oh god, I gotta write this scene, and I don't even know how the mechanics in this game work.
Yeah, I think it's really good if you have a game idea in your head, and if you've done stuff like it before, make sure that if you're working with other people, you make a flow chart or something. Actually, on our next game, I won't get into it, but I explained everything to them, and then I built like a kind of like fakey model that would show how it would work, and then I sent it to both of them, and I went, oh, that's what we're doing. So like having a playable version is really, really, really great. But yeah, flowcharts are, I think, more important than I tend to think about for visual novels. Even if you're thinking, oh, this is really easy, it's just gonna split a couple times or it'll loop. Everything always seems so much simpler in your head than it will to somebody else. So yeah.
So Royce would be fine if he was working on his own, but unfortunately, there are other people in the universe that needed to know.
There are such things as other people.
When you're collaborating,
Sounds
communication is important.
As far as other prep work, we did this for NaNoRenO, which is a 1 month long visual novel game jam, and I highly, highly recommend it. It takes place in March every year. It's over on itch.io. Like, just if you're thinking about like, oh, I want to make a visual novel, just oh my god, do it. It's great. It's so great. You'll be part of like a huge community. You can join somebody else's team if you want to. The page for it isn't up yet this year. But
Type in NaNoRenO.
yeah, I should find the
What to look.
Are there any other like visual novel game jams or communities or resources
yeah,
you'd recommend
totally.
as well?
I mean, itch.io has stuff going on almost all the time. I think they actually have like a jams page
Yeah.
that you can just click on, and you know, that way you can kind of just jump in on things. NaNoRenO, I know a lot of people will be like, hi, I'm a composer, I want to work with people, or hi, I'm an artist, I want to work with people, or whatever the case may be. You know, you can kind of make a new friend if you feel like putting yourself out there and trying. I would say that it's obviously pretty strenuous to work on something in a month, but sometimes a deadline can help you work hard. But
yeah. I've got, I just posted the NaNoRenO from 2021 in the chat. If you keep an eye, the person who does that team's called Sake Visual, and she's IU, and she's really, really nice. They've been doing visual novels since before a lot of Western people have been doing visual novels, and just huge inspiration, super nice. I host this every year, so if you follow them, you might see when it gets posted. And then I also posted in the chat the Lemasoft forums, and we might get back around to that later, but basically between like the actual Renpai site and the Lemasoft forums, unless you're trying to do something incredibly, incredibly tricky with your coding, you will find the answers to anything you are trying to do in those places. Everybody will take care of you there. And there's also some discords that are around. I don't know how to really link people to those, but there's like a dev chat discord where people work together and stuff. Let me know if you want a link for that sometime, and I'll see if I have the ability to invite people for that. I'm not super duper active there, but you know, it's nice to pop in and chat with people and see what they're working on. NaNoRenO is the big game jam every year. We also did the Spooktober game jam last year, which was a chance to do our murder mystery game. So, but yeah, if you keep an eye out on itch.io, they're always running jams, and game jams are such a great way to just go in and just make a game. Doesn't matter if it's broken, it will be broken, it will be full of typos, you can fix it up later, but just getting something done feels amazing.
What were were there particular challenges programming this game? Did it depart from traditional visual novels at all? Were there any like weird roadblocks? that y'all ran into?
I'm gonna let Camden
Yeah,
talk first. on
definitely. That's
Yeah, that was also it's like a Camden
Thank
friend.
you. Yeah, there were a couple problems. We had a branching flirting mechanic that reacted to how well you were doing with Zenigata. So, if you were fumbling the ball constantly, you get different prompts than if you were being a smooth talker. And keeping that tree running sufficiently was a bit difficult. And the way that Royce has all of the paintings done, it's phenomenal. If you haven't seen the original sheets, I highly recommend looking them up. But he went through and painted the backgrounds and then the characters without their faces. And then we had to position the faces to be on there so they seamlessly match. And it's like a faceless person, sometimes with an actual void and a bit of
Oh,
a
no.
splotch around.
Sounds horrifying.
yeah, I remember you
Spooky.
posting the Zenigata screaming faces. it's just a face yelling at you, and that's just that's a pretty common. Whoops, typed in the path wrong on that sprite. Oops.
Yeah.
That would have
And
been. Yep.
sorry. I was just going to say that not too many people would even realize this was such a big deal, but this is the first time we've ever gone in to do extras and the whole back door of the game. So there are sprite galleries, there's music galleries, there's a bonus chapter, which you need to unlock all of the routes in order to see. That stuff was a nightmare to get going.
But yeah, I forgot you did that on this one for the first time.
You used the what's it called? The Renpai all-in-one GUI template, right?
Yeah, that's when we upgraded because we'd used the 720 sized one for the previous game.
Mm-hmm. And you basically coded the like extras galleries and stuff from scratch for the last one, right?
Yes. Both Serialized Killer and Lupin, I pretty much designed from the ground up. In the back end, anyway, not the front end.
Bless you.
Yeah, gosh. I don't know. Program. You're a wizard. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For the writing, was it challenging taking Lupin stuff out of its original medium, or even out of the medium of like making it interactive, or did it feel natural?
Well, one of the biggest challenges for this is that like Lupin characters never ever just like sit around and chat about their feelings. I mean, there's lots of
Oh yeah, they
places-
have to be handcuffed to something.
Yeah,
to-
yeah.
yeah.
Like you have to keep them there. You got to have a reason. You know, like in part one, you know, the only way you can keep Lupin in jail for a year is he has to get big mad. So
Spite, yes.
So, they never really sit around and chat about their feelings, and that was a place where it could have been, you know, just a little schmaltzy and wish fulfillment-y. And I mean, there's totally a time for that. There's plenty of, like, specials and episodes where you do, you know, get them, you know, being real serious and open with their emotions. But, like, you know, not for a couple hours worth of just full-on chatting. For me, the core of Lupin and Zenigata's characterization is all about the sort of like cartoony Tom and Jerry two-man comedy routine. So even if, you know, we wanted it to be shipping, like there's romance in there, but like the primary focus had to be comedy. Like,
I'd say that in my opinion, it doesn't feel right unless you're kind of laughing when you're watching Lupin. Like, obviously there's a couple of Lupin episodes that are really serious, but
usually Jigen.
yeah, I mean, if Jigen's there and he's all angsty or whatever, but for the most part, there's, I think, because they come from this cartoonish legacy, it's great to be able to play with that comedy aspect. I think that's fun. It makes it feel, especially like part 2, that, you know, you just have this energy between them, and it's much more suitable, I'd say, to going like this is like a part 2 episode to a certain extent. Obviously, yeah, you wouldn't leave them chained in one spot in animation. That would be a weird choice for...
Maybe we could call this a bottle episode.
Yeah, it's a bottle episode, because we had run out of budget to animate our part 2 episode.
So, I wanted to ask, I mean, this goes for all of y'all, but, like, what was the workflow with the art? From, like, planning that, Royce hand-painting everything, to getting that, like, program. It seems like such a huge challenge, but also it pays off so much because it's such a gorgeous game. Like, it's immediately apparent there's so much work went in.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask about that process, like I said, from the beginning to program.
I definitely had some help, you know, fixing things up and making sure that things worked. I usually try to do a lot of the sprite programming myself because there's not too much there. But Camden, did you help out with this?
I think Camden did a bunch more on this one.
On the sprite programming
stuff.
for these?
Yes, but not as much as I have done elsewhere. I think you had asked for the positions of like the Lupin stuff and like the positioning of the different things like the continue cards. But for the most part, the actual static images with the faces you took care of. But if it was a full sprite, then I took care of it.
Okay, yeah, actually, I'm remembering now that I actually had a sheet printed out that had Zenigata's faces. Basically, after they had been scanned, labeled, because the way that you call up a sprite in Ren'Py is, you know, if the JPEG is called Zenigata Yell or whatever, you know, you're gonna have Zenigata Yell called up on screen when you want him to be making that expression. So while I was writing, at least for part of what I was writing, I would have the sheet reference in front of me, so when I was writing a line, you know, say Zenigata's like, "Don't you dare, you little weasel," or whatever. I would have, okay, I want Zenigata to be making this face while he says this. So if Royce is fast enough to have expressions ready before I start writing, which in this case there was some of done, I wrote what expression they were making as they were saying their lines. So I was getting to kind of visualize how it might look when it was put together and giving them instructions on how to code it in.
Yeah, it can be hard for any visual novel team to... I don't know. I don't know how like everybody works, but I think it's a bit more common to have a lot of the writing done first and then the art gets done, because usually the writer and the artist are not the same person. And I know that I'll go back and forth a little bit as I get, you know, if I'm doing a line and I'm like, oh, I need a good face for that, I need this or that. Like I did a bunch of kind of expression studies before working on the sprites, because, you know, I wanted to get the right faces in. You can only draw so much before things get going. Where are you? There they are. Let me see. I think I can put them up on here.
Oh wow, we're gonna get ambitious over here.
Yeah, we're gonna get ambitious. Everybody talk while I try to do this.
All right, everyone.
And what? And to try to like wind down the question, with that, whether it's with like workflow or planning or anything else, what did y'all learn from this project that you would take with you, or what would you recommend? Like, here's the way what we did wrong or what we did right to people who would want to make it like as ambitious.
I would say my best advice for any project is like, don't sit around and think about, I can't make this as well as I envision in my mind, so I'm not going to do it. Just start, just do it, and even if you feel like, oh no, then I'll be using my good idea right now and then I'll never have another good one, and that's just not true. You'll have good ideas in the future. You know, learning how to do something is definitely going to benefit you. Just start, and that will that will be my best advice, honestly. There's not really other things because so many things are so specific. Renpai has plenty of folks that are willing to teach, videos for how to learn, or you can even just reverse engineer the code because they put a basic visual novel in with the program that you can look at and, you know, take the code of and then just investigate, you know? If you're the type of person who likes to take something apart to learn how to do it, it's a perfect setup for you to do that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Sushi there. And for myself, the biggest thing I got out of this project was learning where to say I can't. I did the music for our 2020 game, and I'd been asked to provide music for this one, and I was looking into how to do jazz compositions and try to get that Lupin sound, but no one is Ono. No one. So,
That is an impossible ask, yes.
yeah, so I made the request that we source out for music from here on out, and I'm just glad that I could, you know, early in the process, not try to force myself to say, all right, we're going to make this happen no matter what, which is something that I would tend to do. So, you know, if you're in a project, don't be afraid to say, this is beyond my scope. You know, being able to choose how you spend your 31 days in a jam or your timeline in any other project, it's important to be able to see what you can accomplish and what you really should reach out and get help for.
Yeah.
Great advice. It's extremely good advice. Camden did help with the music on this. Like,
I wrote one track.
Well, you'll hear it.
Yeah.
You'll hear it. It's good. It's good. I like
great.
it.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
But yeah, getting used to the scope knife for your first project, it'll be probably a lot, but you know, just be proud of what you do make. You can always keep going. You know, you'll get better with every project, and you know, it's nice to just make something. All right, real quickly, I found them.
See ya.
So here was
Monkey.
yes, monkey face.
You got a monkey.
So yeah. So basically with this one, just kind of, this is some of the sketches that I did, figuring out. Oh, come on, Lupin, behave for once. It's like no. All right. Never. So just, you know, finding a bunch of screen caps, working off, and, you know, you want to reference some faces too, figure out what works and what doesn't. When you're doing the artwork for sprites, you are going to be kind of building your own actors. So you want to think about, you know, you could do like a happy face, a sad face, a mad face, but like, you know, what kind of happy faces does Lupin need? Like for this one right here, like this is the most important expression in the game, his sort of laugh. You know, like if you're awful and you know it, clap your hands. He knows he's just awful, but he's great and we love it. And I think that there was another face that's just, you know, like him described as like he's being shitty but he doesn't know it. It's got just different faces. There's a Yasuo face that I don't think made it into the game.
You pulled from so many different. It's so interesting pulling sort of quintessential Lupin from 50 years, you know, very different.
It's nice to have, like, you know, all of those resources too, because, you know, if somebody, you know, right now TMS is probably working on another Lupin special. I mean, we know for sure they're working on part 6, and like when they do that, you know, the people who are drawing Lupin aren't told like, okay, close your eyes and draw Lupin now. You know, they're like, okay, we're going to reference all of the stuff that's existed. We're going to figure out what our Lupin for part 6 is supposed to look like. You know, there's that meme about Lupin fans looking at like 3 identical shots of Lupin and going, "Oh, the one in the middle. I love that one in the middle." Like,
Yeah, that's a good meme.
like
I know what you're talking about. This guy.
and I mean, you know, so that's kind of, you know, what you got to do is you got to go around and be like, okay, you know, what Lupins do I am making a Lupin. What do I want? What do I want to put here? What'll fit? And so, you know, you can see that for a lot of these, I didn't like straight up full on replicate some of these faces. Oh, I'm trying to gesture at this like my mouse will work. Oh, golly. But like a little sad face in the bottom left corner, like, you know, I didn't go like for this full on, you know, 90s special Lupin. I'm like, let's add a little bit of his, you know, red jacket look. Let's add the fluff.
So, what do y'all have coming up?
Ooh,
What's next?
that's a pretty fun thing to kind of be thinking about, because we might have already been previewing our next thing without telling you yet.
Ooh.
There's maybe the possibility that the music you've been listening to this entire time is actually from our next game.
It's a plot twist.
Yeah, we got real twisty.
This is our direct.
It
Yes,
is.
it's our Nintendo Direct.
Coming soon to the Switch. Gay Lupin.
Did y'all want to talk about the game? Or is it... or-
Would
anything
you
else, or
maybe
is
like
that
to see a little bit of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course I do.
Excuse me, Pops. We will get back to you in a little bit.
This is new to me too.
The music got off the
Oh!
loud suddenly. Alright, then let me fix that. I figured there might be a bit. Thank you for letting me know. Also, let me know if the sound effects end up being a bit big. Before we really get started, there's a lot of placeholder stuff here. This is definitely not done yet. So...
This is what we call a work in progress, though.
yeah, it's...
A sneak preview.
Sneak preview, never before
Exclusive to
seen.
this
Hey, you need to have
Never
at the
before
bottom
seen.
of the screen one of those may not reflect final content warnings.
Disclaimer.
I was gonna say, yeah, the shine and the puddles might look different on our
Yeah.
version later.
They are special. The way we render Jigen's beard in full glorious 60 frames per second.
Footage from Alpha Build.
We're gonna give Jigen that Sonic Adventure 2 like beard balance.
That sounds horrifying.
That'd be
Please
bad.
don't.
It's so bad. Okay, anyway.
Don't be on screen.
Alright, once we've shaken them off, we're back at my newest hideout, safe and sound. Plop yourself down anywhere. And let's get you stitched up. You should have just... Actually, you wanna...
Oh boy.
you don't have to if you don't.
I'm sorry if I'm bad at this. You should have just taken me to the hospital.
That's the first place the capo's gonna look. I've got experience dressing my own gunshots, so I nab the kit, and I get prepped to help the guy out. The gunman slaps me away when I try to dress his wound, so I leave him with the gauze.
I'm bleeding, not useless.
Fine. But you're gonna need to replace that blood.
What, you got stuff in there for a transfusion?
How forward of you. I don't give transfusions on the first date. Unless you're a pretty lady under that hat. I'm gonna give you a leg up on making your own.
Yeah,
There's a wrong tag. I leave him to his own first aid and get busy in the kitchen.
Ooh, it's a camera.
Shout out to
We're
Vimy.
getting rated. Hello.
Oh,
Oh, yo! Hey,
Ellie.
Ellie! Real quickly, since we somehow found out that a bunch of our friends didn't know, if you haven't watched Ellie's Poop on the Thirst, it's a Lupin
Oh!
YouTube poop.
Ellie, hello. I didn't put it together. Yes, this is the funniest video on YouTube.
The best video I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I watch it every day.
Like, I mean, you know.
Soccer lotto typically.
Like, we were actually joking earlier on. We're like, maybe we'll get tired and we're just gonna host all of Ellie's videos.
Yeah, it's just gonna become a thing stream.
We get real tired.
Yeah. Let's just say too, for all the people who just got here, they are showing a preview of their next game with some sort of mysterious gun, and I have no idea what is happening or who it could be.
It's called Untitled JigLup Game.
Hey!
You know, the frame is still appropriate. It doesn't matter if it's this game or the previous game.
Is he still flirting? Yes,
Is he?
absolutely.
The answer is yes, yeah.
Of course he's still flirting. He's Lupin.
And also, if the VOD is up later, y'all should also check out. I did a whole interview where they talked about making visual novel
Yes, we did do that.
later. Anyway, yeah, keep going.
No worries.
Exciting.
Alright, so spent hours simmering a nice bolognese yesterday, and it's in the fridge, sealed up tight. The noodles, however, are best fresh, so I fill a pot on the stove with water, then pull out some flour and get mixing. I keep an eye on my new friend while he works. It's slow going, and he lets out a hiss of pain. There's a bottle of whiskey that will be on the table, and I can see the gunman eyeing it. Ooh, he's a man with bespoke tastes. Please, help yourself.
Thanks.
This art looks so cool.
Thank you.
Fantastic. The lighting and the sorry.
No worries.
Cool.
We'll be able to kind of compare and contrast this with the train background from last year's game, but I wanted to give a try working in gouache for the backgrounds because that's actually how old anime did their backgrounds, and also just, you know, because they do commissions and stuff in watercolor, it seemed like it might be maybe helpful to be able to do with some, you know, future pieces and whatnot. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is based on the background of Lupin's little apartment in a woman called Fujiko Mine. It's like a vibrant purple and pink. Also, this song is amazing. It is really commissioned for this.
Yes, let me pull that up really quickly. I have our composer is currently working on the soundtrack, and
Can I ask who the composer is, or?
yes, absolutely.
We're gonna link their SoundCloud.
Yes, I don't know which username they'll prefer to go by, but their SoundCloud Utilizer, oh man, it's been just absolutely fantastic.
Oh, you guys are in for such a treat on this soundtrack. I am in love with it already. Like, this one is the conversation theme, and I love it. I hear it daily because
We hum
Royce
it.
is in here working on it, and I have to hear, you know, when you're programming something, you hear something over and over again. But this one hasn't gotten old for me.
Yep.
It's nice.
Yeah, this is I mean, we'll see how we feel in 3 months, but but like to make it through the first 3 weeks and to find yourself, you know, you'll find yourself humming it, and when you're like, oh yeah, instead of oh my god, very good sign.
Absolutely. I've spent a lot of time listening to this soundtrack so far.
Me too.
A lot of time.
Oh yeah, Cammy, you and me. We're in it.
Yeah, Camden's had a lot more programming to do on this game.
And I've done nothing like the prince of the world that I am.
You've done some editing. You've done some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll keep going. Some of this is your writing.
some of this is my writing.
Oh, and Ponytail Jigen is very much a thank you to Sue. She would
Thank you. The Jigen
There you go.
aficionado here.
Chapter
So there
1
you go.
is, as you might have noticed from calling them gunmen, we're doing our own take on when they first met, because you can never have enough origin stories for these two. The gunman, so he has the
He has the
bottle of whiskey. The gunman promptly overturns it right onto his wound. Ara! What are you doing?
What? It didn't have a label. I assumed it was gut rot.
No, I stole that from a private collection. I poured a 70-year-old Macmillan in it so that nobody would know I was taking something expensive. It didn't have a label because it didn't need one.
Oh. Shit.
He holds up his arm and licks it.
Think he got conned, buddy.
Characterization.
This stuff tastes like iron. Heh.
He's got a rotten sense of humor. Before the pot's even close to a boil, I have a tidy little pile of noodles softly dusted with flour. Nothing to do but wait. Alright, I'm gonna skip ahead just a little bit. Oh, also, alright, and I'm skipping ahead so that we can see the main game mechanic. So, Jigen is agreeing to stay for one meal, but he is leaving right after that because he is not excited about having to work for this guy who showed up out of the blue. So, he's only sticking around for one meal. But for Lupin, aha, success! Yep, just one meal. Okay, good start. But he still wants to leave soon. I've got to get this done before he runs out of patience with me. Okay, looks like I gotta get serious. Gotta really focus on how to change his mind. Disguises and dexterity are two of my fortes, but the biggest part of being a thief is knowing how to read others. I only have so much time before the gunman leaves. Alright, so Camden's done a wonderful job programming this, and I have not done the final assets yet, so it doesn't look great yet. But, instead of your kind of general visual novel choices, currently what we're looking at is you've got a couple of different stats that you're dealing with. Jigen has patience, and that lowers every turn. And what you want to do is you want to try to get his trust up high enough to kind of beat the conversation before his patience runs out and he leaves.
That is so fantastic. That is so cool, and so obviously so much thought was put into that too.
Thank you.
Program it.
Some of this is based on a mechanic that I wasn't super confident about for the Zenigata game, and it ends up working even better for Jigen. And we'll do one quick choice so that we can show how it works. So I'm gonna do, hey, you want what's left of that whiskey? And oh no. Oh no. That's fine. Also, whenever you're making a choice, it will show you how it will affect your stats, so you always know what's going to happen going into it. And that's based off of games like Ambition or Lady Killer in a Bind, which are all about social manipulation, so that I mean, lots of visual novels, you are already going into it trying to go, what can I say that will make this person like me? And this game, you know, totally just goes all in on that, like, you know what you're trying to get out of each conversation. There is specifically win and loss conditions. You know, Lupin's gonna be a manipulative little shit. So, you want what's left of that whiskey? And so you know that's gonna make his trust go up.
Well, sure. If you want to waste something like that on me.
I wasn't planning on giving you the whole bottle. But I guess it can't be helped.
Well, it can be helped. You can just drink it all yourself.
I nab a glass and pour the last couple fingers of booze in there. I'm not the one with a hole in my arm. Besides, you lost so much blood. This is sure to take the edge off for you.
This is barely a sip. Wound or no wound, you're gonna need more than this to get me drunk.
I'm not looking to get the man packing a magnum drunk.
He takes a sip. I'll have you know. My trigger control is perfect, drunk or not.
Usually call that a load. The way you were shooting back there, I believe it. You put yourself in more danger by approaching me for the map. If you'd shot me in the back, it would have been over and done with.
You the kind of guy who'd shoot someone in the back?
I toss the bottle a few inches into the air, and catch it on the floor. I like to consider myself capable of anything. The silence is too much for me. Maybe I would have when I was younger. It's just not cool, you know? If it's a guy's life, he at least deserves a sporting chance. I know that's not the hard-boiled answer. I was raised to be sneaky and ruthless. Granddad wouldn't approve of weakness. But the gunman tilts his head up to get a better look at me. And so, instead of having a stat bar, whenever Jigen's trust in you goes up, he'll actually, he'll look up. His hat will go up.
This is fantastic.
So
This is
basically,
amazing.
as his trust in you goes up and down over a conversation, he'll hide under his hat or he will look up at you. And so that means that you'll get to see more of his expressions the farther along you get. Yeah. And so initially with the Zenigata game, I thought, oh, we should know how far along we are with Zenigata because he should blush more and more. But it wasn't like a really big enough like visual difference, unlike Jigen's hat. And it just didn't, I don't know. I was going to say it would have been too hard to code, but I assumed it would be too hard to code. When I asked Camden about this, she came back to me in like a day and went, done.
Wizard.
Yeah.
You give the wizard a task and like 20 minutes later it's finished.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fall behind this time.
When have you ever fallen behind?
Serialized Killer did take a lot out of me. Those point and click segments were just crazy.
Oh yeah, that was rough. But hey, it's done.
All right. Yeah.
Just do the game over. It's funny. Do the game over. It's funny.
The game over's a placeholder. I don't want to say this stuff on stream.
What?
So when it comes to
Do
guys,
it.
Read
what's
it
your
out.
type? He shifts, uncomfortable. No need to be shy. We're all guys here. You a tits man or an ass man?
In character.
What the hell?
He grimaces.
You just say that to people?
Don't you love a good pair of melons?
I think I should leave.
Oh, he really doesn't want to chat about chicks, does he? Or maybe he's the type who prefers to talk about their personalities. It's too hard to talk about with someone you just met. Titty
Lupin,
soft
you
is a
idiot.
simple, universal statement. However, ass is also soft. Another universal statement. Now that I think about it, maybe the whole question was too hard. It was cruel of me to make a guy choose between titties and ass. It would be like asking a lady to choose between titties and ass. Any lady would slap me if I said she had to turn down pecs forever just to get to keep squeezing a tush. No wonder Mr. Shaggy was upset. I'm sorry, man. What I said was completely out of line.
Well, I guess I can forgive you if you understand.
Every part of the lady should be cherished and respected. If she's not being worshipped, then the man's no man at all.
All women are queens.
He stares at me.
Even being in the same room as you is too low for me.
Huh. Some guys just don't get it. Jigen is officially tired of your shit.
I seriously can't stand one more second of this jerk.
We just got the Daytona game over screen right now as a placeholder.
I think you should leave it. I think it's funny. Game over.
But
Game over, game over.
But Cammy made a little sting. If you listen real quick again.
It's my favorite track.
It fucking cracks me up every time.
You can make your failure fun.
Yeah. Especially because we've got it so really quickly. If you game over, you can try the conversation again. And Lupin will actually, he's got a few different things that he'll say if you start over and over, so that there's really no penalty for failure. In fact, you can try out different things. So
That's fun.
Alright, so yeah, that's our preview for our next game.
Yeah.
Untitled JigLup Simulator.
Yeah. Jigen Flirting Sim 2022.
Is Lupin still flirting too? Electric Jigen Loop.
Electric chicken nuggets.
God damn it.
Yeah,
Royce, you should also link. Oh, yeah, y'all should also link y'all's at studios.
Your Etsy.
Oh, yeah.
How's that?
Go ahead and type that into the chat. On the Etsy, we have previously sold all the assets from Lupin Still Flirting, and we will definitely be listing the assets from the JigLup game afterward. Right now, I'm in the middle of getting around to listing the stuff from Serialized Killer. Basically, if you like Alexis's art and you want to have some of it that is actually the painting, it's not just a print. I've put up prints too, but I put up the originals, and they're not super expensive. So if you want a painting, they're there.
Yeah. Cam, did you have anything?
I think the only projects I ever want to advertise are Marsha Bros projects. You know, these two are the talent centers. I'm just the
You're
Kion.
the wizard.
You're the wizard.
I'll take it. I'm the wizard.
Well, awesome. Real quick, are there any audience questions?
Yeah.
Start or before y'all start the playthrough of it.
Yeah, no worries. We'll slowly get that ready, but we don't have to play yet.
And this is Camden's track, by the way.
Yeah.
And she did a lovely job. We appreciate it. I like
Thank
having a
you.
Lupin theme in the beginning.
Yeah.
I think I meant- Well, okay, no audience questions. It's like, I got through the ones I wanted to ask, or most of them.
Hey.
Thank y'all for having me on to do a nice little Q&A. I learned a lot more about visual novel making. It seems a little less. So that's good, because I've
We
always wanted to make one,
appreciate
but I have no idea
you
where
very
to start.
much. I'm sure that I wouldn't have done it if you didn't offer. So, very, very thankful. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Shannon, would you like us to link anything of yours in the chat?
Oh,
Probably.
or link. I'll link my review of the first.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, you should. Everybody should watch that one too.
Zenigata theme intensifies.
Yes.
Yeah, Zenigata March intensifies. I debated on doing that because it's an old meme, but I was like, it's funny.
It's good. It's good. You gotta. Not only can you keep it alive, but like the Zenigata intensity in general is. I mean, it's not just a great concept. It's very core to his character. So I don't know. It felt right.
Cool. Well, I'll probably head off. I'll just hang out and chat.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah, it was fun, and thank you everybody in chat.
Thank you.
And I think at one point Luce called y'all G brain.
Aw.
Y'all take care.
You too.
Take
Bye
care.
bye. All right, and I will be. Give me a second while I make it so that it's not that going on. No, don't open Audacity.
What are you doing?
I'm
The second Shannon leaves, you just make chaos happen.
yes, full chaos. Since I closed the other game, it's like now we're only going to showcase the wrong stuff. Okay, and just gonna do that for a second. Sorry. And can you talk for a second?
Okay, I'm talking. So I had some ramen tonight.
Okay, now we're good. Don't worry, folks. I won't let that go on for too long. Okay, and
you don't have a full Lupin's jacket.
oh, thank you. Yeah, we'll fix that. All right, and last but not least, now that I've got that up, Cammy, thank you so much for joining us as well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And I hope that you all have a good rest of the stream. I'll be in the chat listening on. But
Well,
yeah.
thank you, as usual. We
Yeah.
appreciate you. Toro came over to say hello.
Yeah.
Ah,
Toro, did you
Toro,
hear
I
Cammy?
miss you
And you're
so
like, "Where's our
much."
friend?" Toro wants to know where her friend Cammy is. Oh.
I miss you.
She flew away.
And now she flew away. All right.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So, now we will get started with this game. As before, let us know if the sound gets too loud. But yeah, so this is Lupin Still Flirting. We made it last year. I think we've bandied about a lot. Let's get going.
Yeah.
Sound just got very loud. Okay, bring that down a bit. How's that? Yeah.
Okay,
sound
live bait says okay.
All right. Okay.
We'll change it if it's still.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
You're right. We should be good at talking. That's true. Turn our voice up relative to it, and then
Turn the Discord. Just pull that down a little bit.
that's. There we go. Hopefully that's right. Bring those up.
She wants her boing. Can I go put that up for her?
Yeah. You go ahead and do that. I'll get things started here. All right. So basically, here at the beginning, we wanted to make sure that we opened up the game with an introduction to who Lupin is. Oh, not cat, parrot. Our parrot is coming around. Cannot have both in a household. Anyway, so back in the old days, ladies had something called a dance card. This is a real thing that exists in real life. There were these really, really pretty and ornate dance cards like this. And it's such a romantic idea to me. And in the books, Arsène the First is just, very, very French, very, romantic. And I love the idea of this being kind of a touch of humanity that Lupin would have as kind of a touchstone with his granddad. I know this because my granddad had a whole drawer full of the things. Sometimes they were actual cards. Sometimes they were these fancy little booklets or bent into fans or other knickknacks. Sometimes there'd be a little golf pencil tied to it, or a ribbon so a lady could wear them like a bracelet around her wrist. The folks who ran these sorts of fancy shindigs would give them to guests at the start of the night. And the good dance cards would be like a little list, a quick synopsis of the dances that were going to be played. Gentlemen would approach a lady, and they had to actually ask to book a dance. Folks could get smart about it. You good at waltzing? Snag a waltz with the cutie and impress her. But better move quick, or some other guys would crowd in, write their names down next to all the dances, and before you knew it, her dance cards all full up. Sifting through the drawer of Granddad's dance cards was the best way to get to know his old aliases, finding the repeat names. Some repeats were from targets he cased, but when Granddad found an alias he liked, he tended to use it again. The names of ladies tended to repeat too, sometimes as an alias, but more often at the top of the cards, previous owners. When a lady's name could be found on multiple cards, I could tell that he liked her even more. And when dance cards filled up with strike-throughs showed up, I could tell that those were the ladies he liked the best. The names of dozens of slow-witted men would be crossed out, replaced by one of my grandfather's aliases. He had charmed and pilfered the sort of treasure that made my heart sigh as I imagined the rustling of skirts and the swaying of the music, the smirks and little giggles as he stole dance after dance away from rival suitors. Gems could be sold, paintings auctioned off, and Granddad frequently made his money by ransoming family heirlooms back to rich fools. But these dances were locked tightly in the vault of his heart. Nobody could ever reclaim them from him. He was Arsène Lupin. He was a master of a singular craft, that of lovingly borrowing valuables. And when it came to valuables, hearts were his favorite. I am Lupin III. I uphold the family business, and I'm inclined to agree with Granddad. I'll use every second of my life that I can steal to fill it all up with memories and experiences twice as good as anyone in my family. I'll leave behind a legacy that others can pore over with twice the yearning and joy that I felt reading up on Granddad. I don't have a single second to spare.
Lupin!
Really quickly for this, man, someday I'd love to take another crack at this. basically whenever anybody's like, oh, if you could have a Lupin adventure anywhere, where would it be? Man, I want to see one in the Rocky Mountains at the Stanley Hotel. That's my dream. You can get some Shining references in there too if you want, but it's just really pretty up there. So anyway. And I certainly don't have a second to spare on Inspector Zenigata. The guy's got a legacy of his own to maintain, and he's decided that I'm the caller of the century. He's not wrong. Any detective would be honored to catch Master Thief Lupin III. Yeah, I can understand wanting to outdo your ancestors. But I don't have any sympathy, I'm afraid. I'm a big fan of liberation, you see. Liberating objects from their owners, liberating myself from prison, that kind of thing. But Pop Zenigata would much rather see me locked up tight in a prison cell. I'd agree to disagree, but he's not exactly big on compromise. He's persistent and learns from his mistakes. Even death won't stop him. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I swear, I can still hear the clink of cuffs buried deep in my subconscious. So, of course, we've got references to some episodes here. I tried to keep all of these really rough and simple and quickly made because we only had a month to make this game in. So, I don't know if the first one's specifically a reference to anything. You know, he's just got his Pepe Silvia wall going on. The second one could be pretty much any of the times when Lupin's dressed up as Zenigata. Lupin's not actually awake for the third one, like in part 2 when he's dead in that casket and Zenigata actually confesses his love for him, but it fit the opening for this game better to imply some chicanery on Lupin's part, especially because, you know, he is faking it. And of course the last one is part 1, the first episode, and he's chasing Lupin through the field of flowers with his cuffs.
And, of course, the clink of cuffs buried deep in his subconscious is kind of a reference to Mamo.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'd love to do more little comic panels and stuff in my visual novels sometime. It's just sometimes you end up only being able to draw the stuff that you have to. And again, scope knife, you know. It's not all bad having someone to keep you on your toes. And his catch rate is pretty much 0.0001% of the time. So it's no problem. Usually. Maybe if I try... No. Son of a bitch. Zenigata is busy nailing a large piece of wood to the door. This train is an antique, and I'd planned to drive away on it in style. But Pops pulled a switcheroo on me, and it was filled with 100 surprisingly loyal guards. He's so annoying. Why would one person want to work with him, let alone 100? Guess it's easy to forget. A couple people actually admire the guy. The greater criminal element views him as something of a scourge, and his superiors have lost their patience with him. They pay old Pops peanuts and hope that he quits about as much as I do. It's really hard to find the balance between whether Zenigata, like how people feel about Zenigata, because along with his competency in different versions, it's really, really hard to find general feelings on him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when it's convenient for the story, he has a bunch of very loyal co-police officers to kind of help make the chase feel epic, and then when it's also convenient, you have Zenigata kind of being the underdog in the situation. You know, there's been implication of, like, sometimes his superiors want to get him killed or fired, or that he has trouble working with partners because obviously he hasn't worked with many people, and anytime we have seen him work with people, he is pretty antagonistic towards them. For some reason.
For some reason. It's like he wants to be one-on-one with Lupin for an extended period of his entire life.
For some reason, he's very protective of his role as the singular guy that gets to chase Lupin around.
God, I wonder why that is.
There's no reason, really.
It's gotta be a nightmare to try to wrangle someone that obsessed and foolhardy. The public loves to read about the driven, rogue crime fighter fighting all that crime. But when Pops veers another police cruiser straight into the Seine because he can't keep up with my excellent driving, who do you think handles that mess? Seriously, who handles it? I never really bothered to think about it. But I assume that it's his superiors and the other officers, right? Why shouldn't they hate him? But hey, there's no accounting for taste. And like I said, he rounded up about 100 of those someones and stuffed them right onto my train. Lemmings must just love to be told where to run, so I guess they've developed a soft spot for Pops. And now he's nailing the door shut, with him inside, of course. Bellowing with laughter the whole while. He's in such an obnoxiously good mood. He doesn't even know that the bars on the window are just for show. I checked. They swing back for an emergency exit. If I had these chains off, I'd be out of here in a snap. My fingers are already setting to work on all these chains and cuffs. Most of them should be real easy to slip out of. But a couple of them are some serious work. Pops must have invented them himself. I could get out of them easy. If I still had my tools on me. Sadly, those were among the first things Pops pilfered during the initial search. What a thief. I start to inch a foot over toward Pops. If I take my shoe off, I could grab something from his coat pocket. He's monkey. Lockpicks would be best, but I think he might have keys in... Nope, he's all over the place, and he keeps sneaking smug little peeks over at me. Can't do it now, not without him noticing. And force isn't an option. Not that I couldn't take him. I'm just at a disadvantage physically in this confined space. I could take all his guys at once if I really wanted to. Pops is just kind of okay at grappling. Then he got his judo throws.
I like that Lupin really never, ever, ever in his internal monologue admits he can't do something. That is not something... Lupin doesn't say can't. He just says, like, I can't right now. I can't at this very moment do it, but, you know.
Unreliable narrators are absolutely the best, right? They're
True.
so much fun. His judo throws are even a bit on the scary side, you know, if you're scared of stuff like that. I'm good at escaping and dodging, but there's not much room for either. And even if I snatched up all his keys, I'd need Pops to be good and distracted long enough to get the bonds open. But he took all my little distraction toys, too. And there's Pops.
I've got you now, Lupin.
Looks like someone's done destroying the handcrafted mahogany paneling in this 100-year-old train car.
You thought this was gonna be your private little train. But now it's your one-way ride to an all-expense-paid vacation at Sing Sing.
Wow, Pops, you're right. I didn't expect you to have so many friends.
When it comes to you, Lupin, everyone's happy to chip in. You're real popular, you know. Maybe not as popular as me when I bring the good news back to the department head, though.
Well, you roll the dice long enough, you're bound to get sevens eventually.
Luck ain't a factor. I kept my ear to the ground, kept my eyes peeled, and I put in the legwork. This time, it was you who couldn't keep up with me.
I wanted to be really, really sparse with this game about when I used Lupin's angry sprites, but I think Sush just like really went to town on Zenigata's dialogue there, and I'm like, okay, he's angry now.
But this is the gloating portion of Zenigata's little quest here.
Yeah, that face right there is pure part one. Yeah, whatever that episode's, the one chance to break out, or no?
That's part one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Basically, just, you know, I love the characterization of part one Lupin, that he's like, no, fuck you. You didn't catch me. Nobody can catch me. And there's some of that when he's really petulant in part two as well, but, you know, we didn't go full, you should have killed me when you had the chance that he is in part one, but we got a little bit of that in there. There we go. One chance for a prison break, one chance to break out. Nice.
I'm obsessed with that episode.
So fucking good. Oh, it's amazing.
Cheer up. You still get to enjoy the train and everything.
Oh yeah, this is exactly the person I'd hope to be riding with. I mean, he's about as leggy as my preferred date. I actually don't like that we've got that line now, because I guess it's like a joke in Japanese that Zenigata's character model has short legs. So, I don't know. He seems really leggy when I've drawn him in when I've seen him in other things when I was like studying, but...
What, you're saying that Lupin's inconsistent about character design over the course of 50 years? That's insane. Why would you say that? Especially about Zenigata, who became white for a while.
Other than that, zero similarities.
Yeah.
He settles into the seat opposite from me.
So you might as well get real cozy over there.
Well, I wouldn't want to get too cozy. After all, I've got to get off early.
You're not getting off until You're not getting off until I've given the order.
Ooh, how forward of you.
Huh?
Should have expected you to have a thing for control. But no promises, Pops. I'm willing to try anything once, but I don't think I can respect you as a
That's not what I meant, and you know it. We got a long ride ahead of us, and I'm not taking my eyes off you. So don't you try and humiliate me, or I'll gag you.
Okay, so you're not into humiliation, but you are into gags. Noted.
Lupin!
Real hard there to balance, like, his shitty little, adult swimmy jokes with, am I going too far? Is this too horny? I don't know. We went for it. Up. I wonder. Maybe I don't need any smoke bombs or loud tricks to distract Pops. I mean... Look at him. It's obvious, Got a happy little Zenigata.
That is the cutest drawing. The cutest you ever draw. He's got his little fingers like, oh, I hope that he talks to me.
Yeah, it's a lot of the art in this game is so rough. Oh, did it so fast. But, as long as you get, like, some general composition and... watercolor is really forgiving about, like, you're gonna have your big texture, so, like, those blooms were not purposeful, but, like, it just kind of happens, and then...
The blooms look nice on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. When it comes to watercolor, you just kind of do stuff and it does its own thing, and then people go, oh my god, I can never control watercolor, and it's like, me neither. Nobody can control watercolor.
Water is uncontrollable.
Water's uncontrollable. It's obvious, He's had it bad for me forever. Can you blame him? I'm a legend. Of course he's smitten. What, did you think I didn't know? This is something else. We had to figure out whether Lupin, whenever you're doing this stuff, it's like, does Lupin, is he aware of Zenigata's feelings? Is Zenigata aware of his own feelings?
You can pick in the range.
Yeah.
It depends on what's more dramatic for the story. I think in this case, like, what we went for is probably the pretty common choice of, like, Lupin is aware of Zenigata's feelings for him, and Zenigata is kind of aware of them, but tries to deny them at all costs.
Well, yeah, we're able to, because we're not in Zenigata's head, we can pretty casually dodge a lot of that.
Oh, beans. Lupin's chained to the seat right next to me.
Actually, I'm shocked to hear that more of the people who chase me aren't looking to snuggle up. So that's how I thought that he'd think about. He's like, well, of course Zenigata wants me. Everybody wants me.
I'm Lupin and everyone wants me.
I was telling Jigen, my partner, that the other day. He wants me too. He said that not everyone is into monkey-faced assholes, which I thought was quite cold to say to his monkey-faced asshole. But that's beside the point. The other question that we'd be there answering too is like, yeah, Lupin, the poly gang forever. And Pops his feelings for me, feelings that drove him all the way around the world several times. Has the man ever been in a relationship? I could have sworn that he canceled an engagement or something to chase me. Well, it may sound harsh, but I can't be blamed for that. Pops is a grown man of the law, and he has to take responsibility for his actions and choices. I, on the other hand, am a grown man and an outlaw, which is precisely why I don't have to take responsibility for a single thing. I can just run from it. Running from your problems is a lot more fun than people make it out to be. I just gotta deal with him right now, then I can get back to running. Chain some smooth talk together. Use my words to get his heart throbbing. And maybe get a different organ throbbing too. And he won't even be able to look me in the eye. Maybe this doesn't have to be such a bad afternoon after all. What a little shit. There was supposed to be someone else in Pops' seat, but maybe she can be here in spirit. All my experience getting seduced by Fujiko should come in handy now. Pops has gotten himself back under control. Well, we can't have that now, can we? Now, Pops, prepare yourself for the smooth, erotic genius that is the great Lupin. I'm still really happy with that, the transition right there of like, get ready, I'm gonna be so erotic, and then, hey baby, you like what you see.
And Titanic is the funniest one.
Yeah, so basically, what ending do you think we should go for first? We're gonna show people how to get all of them. Should we go for Lupin escapes first?
Yeah, sure. Make sure you do a save point right here so we can just
Yeah, that's
back.
a good point.
Something that if you haven't done much of visual novels, you might not know, but you can put saves in. It's kind of like when people have a choose your own adventure book or whatever, and they mark the page where they have to make a choice. And so you can kind of do that. You just put a little bookmark on your spot to make your choice.
All right, so for right now, we're going to be sticking with Hey Baby Like What You See. This is how Lupin successfully flirts with Zenigata to get the first ending. Hey baby, like what you see?
Of course.
He makes a rectangle with his fingers and peers through them.
It's no mugshot, but it would look good under a headline. Lupin the Third, international menace and all-around pest, finally brought to justice by the incredible Inspector Zenigata of Interpol.
That's a little long for a headline, don't you think?
Nonsense! It'll grab the eye!
Well, that's not quite how my line was supposed to work, but making him focus on me doesn't seem like a bad idea. This was supposed to be the way that the game worked, is that if you chose options that made Zenigata focus on Lupin, that would be a successful flirt. Lines that make Zenigata focus on himself are unsuccessful, and the ones that are just completely left field are just kind of nothing, and they start to head toward the Jigen or Goemon endings. I don't think I did a really good job looking back on that, and we can talk about that a little bit later, but I feel it's supposed to be a puzzle, and I don't think I did a good job with it, so it's better to have the, potentially to have the stats like we're doing with the Jigen game. I should ask him for a cigarette. That's always very romantic. Passing a lit cigarette back and forth, indirect kiss after indirect kiss. Perfect. Can you spare a smoke for a condemned man?
Hell no, that's always a trap.
Aw, Pops, you're so mean. At the very least, it's tradition. The cigarette stall is an all-purpose ruse, a classic, and so versatile. The trick isn't always hidden in the cigarette itself. Sometimes it's in the lighter, or sometimes neither. Even though I do have a lot of fun making weird lighters and exploding cigarettes. Sometimes it's all about the pause. A couple minutes distraction to think, or a few extra seconds to wait for my backup to show.
Tradition, eh? Well, I'd say it's time for a new one.
I'm not gonna meet up with you on a train as a tradition.
You're not going to be getting out of here, so the new tradition will have to be that I come by on the anniversary of catching you.
Thinking you can keep me locked up that long is very ambitious of you, Pops. I'm allowed to have cigarettes in prison, though, so if you manage to make it to a week, how about we celebrate with that?
I guess. And we can celebrate again in another 51 weeks. You ain't leaving.
Okay, make-believe time for Pops. Let's pretend you were somehow incredible at your job. What are you gonna spend that first year doing exactly? Probably gonna visit me every day.
So what if I am? That's my job.
I think you'd miss me too much. I've really got him riled up, but I've gotta make him swoon, not yell. I've won when he's too flustered to notice when I steal those keys.
Sorry, Lupin, but I won't be by every day. I'm gonna be real busy with other things once you're caught.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna be swamped getting you extradition to a country that doesn't have the death penalty. You made a lot of powerful people real mad, Lupin. A lot of powerful, bad people. It's up to me to protect you from them. Not that you deserve that sort of kindness.
Oh, what then?
And then comes the rehabilitation. You're gonna be a model citizen. You won't even ask for time off for good behavior, but you're gonna earn it anyhow.
No way. He really gets a creepy glee in his voice talking about this. You know the sort of good behavior I have in mind? I'm gonna... Oh crap, egging pops on is as easy as breathing. I'm too good at it. Right, gotta carry on. Let him act like he's one. As if. So, rehabilitation? I say this through gritted teeth. Gotta keep my cool here and get him talking about his little projects.
Yeah, right now you're an evil genius, Lupin. All we gotta do is take a big pencil eraser to the evil part, and think of what you could accomplish. You could make gadgets for a tech company, or you could pull a Frank Abagnale and work for the FBI catching crooks. His voice lowers. Or the ICPO. Abagnale got out in 5 years, but you could probably be working for the ICPO in 3.
Aha, I see your endgame, Pops.
Mother always said, first you catch a man, then you can change. And yeah, the mom joke is in here definitely for part 2.
Oh my god, yes!
Part 2 Dub has so many Zenigata talking about his mom jokes.
They're really good.
Yeah, they are. My mommy thinks I'm handsome.
If you just want to bring me home to your mom, we can skip the locking me up part.
You think you're the sort of man I'd bring home to my mother? Mother's too sweet and innocent for the likes of you.
That's not what she said last time I took her out to dinner.
Lupin, you better have been nice to her.
I've never met Mama Zenigata, but I like that Pops doesn't doubt for a moment that I might have. Of course, real fancy place, and she showed me all your baby pictures.
Aw, yeah, she's always doing that.
I stifled the urge to make up more details. That's like an hour-long conversation between Sushi and I cut, probably.
Oh, yeah. This was like a long one where, like, this still is actually longer than it probably should have made the scene go, but I kept having ideas where I was like, okay, now Zenigata's getting super into the idea of rehabilitating Lupin and having him meet his mom, and he's imagining a whole life for himself in his fantasy land.
Yeah, and we had, like, Lupin coming up with all of these details about taking his mom out to dinner, and he's trying not to make the, you know, and then I took her home jokes because Lupin's like, I can't say that right now, and it's driving me crazy.
He's like, I'm trying to lull him into a false sense of security, not make him extremely angry.
I'd love to see the look on his face if I told him I ran out on his mom and left her with the check. Okay, and that's like, that's a really low-key, generic reference to one of the funniest things I've ever heard. It was like an old Flash cartoon where somebody's like, I'm gonna take your mom out on a date. I'm gonna buy like 5 steaks, and I'm gonna tell her she's gonna pay.
I like that we're gonna have to reveal the very shameful fact that there are literally probably like 20 references to horribly stupid Flash cartoons.
Oh,
like
God.
it's gonna be like E-Bomb's World.
I don't want to say the.
So old.
I don't want to say the rest of the lyrics. I haven't heard it since I was in high school, and that was, you know, a while ago. So I bet if I pulled it out, I'd be like, oh no.
I mean, I'm sure it's like somehow got 18 horrible homophobic jokes in it.
Yeah. But all I can remember is just like the silliest diss in the world of taking somebody's mother out to a restaurant, ordering 5 steaks, and then just looking her in the eyes and saying the check's on you. It's so...
It's funnier to me than the I banged your mom type of
yes,
joke. It's way
so much funnier. It's very cartoonishly evil. But I think I'm well on my way to distracting him. I take a moment to stretch as well as I can in these cramped cuffs. So, when do you think I'm going to make a break for it? Even if I'm trying to fool him, there's no sense in pretending that I don't plan to escape. If I suddenly started acting like I was coming along quietly, his suspicion would shoot through the roof. When it comes to predicting me, you've got plans within plans, right? How do you think I'm going to do it?
I can tell you're trying to get a leg up on things. You're asking because you want intel for a counterattack. But it don't matter a whit, Lupin. Even if your cronies show up, my men are trained and ready.
Underestimating my gang will be your downfall, Pops. After all, I plan to meet up with a certain someone right before the train hits Chicago. We're not going to be getting either the Jigen or the Goemon endings this time around, so this choice doesn't matter right now, but let's just pick Jigen.
This choice only matters if you do not win on the two, focused routes.
Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't exactly tell Jigen to meet up with me. I kind of left him back in Santa Fe to fend for himself. But Chicago's his kind of town. And he won't want to be moping about it alone. He gets lonely really fast. I'll bet you, right now, $5,000 US that Jigen shows up when we pass Joliet. Have it ready and make the check out to cash, would ya? I get maybe a little too cheeky, but I like it when Lupin talks to the audience. I love it when you've got your narrators just kind of like, even if nobody's there, I feel like Lupin's always playing to the audience in his head, so we always exist in his head anyway.
Yeah, Lupin's a very theatrical type of person. I think that he imagines himself on a stage as...
Yeah, even if there's no actual fourth wall break going on, he might not actually perceive the audience. He just assumes we're there at all times. Because he'll be there without fail. Alright, so I'm working on a heist right now. So this is the correct response because it's I'm working on a heist right now. This is part of why I did a bad job. Why did I say if mentioning you was supposed to be like a you or I thing? And I do this twice. This is a terrible puzzle design.
That's okay. You're a terrible puzzle designer.
I'm a terrible puzzle designer. He jumps to his feet.
What's your game? What are you looking to steal?
Your heart! Call the casino manager, because I just hit the jackpot. Making him focus on me is pretty smart. I'll talk about his favorite topic, myself. So, since you have me here all alone, if you could ask Lupin the Third anything, what would you ask him?
Sure. Tell me about your next heist. Where are Jigen and Goemon? Map all your hideouts. Tell me where. Let me go get out the recorder. We can get some confessions out of you.
All right. I'm also going to point out something that I did very badly with this dialogue box. This is no shade on Sush. Sush had difficulty reading that. And that's not on Sushi. That's on me here because that is all one click that keeps going and going and going, and it fills up that much. For later games, I would use a smaller text box. I think you might have probably seen this with the Jigen game there, and some of it with Serial Ass Killer. You want, I should have done, sure, tell me about your next heist. Where are Jigen and Goemon? Either breaking them up into separate text boxes or making it so that only a phrase of text shows up at each point, or with each click.
And we can even make it build in a funny way and have a screen shake on the last one. We can get the build to kind of use the timing for, the timing of when you place your text down is part of the delivery. When you don't have voice acting, your timing of how you move the text is something about how you read.
Yes.
The thing too.
You can kind of build a human speech cadence a little bit more by doing that. And just when there's less text on the screen, it's easier for people to read. Books exist with, prose and big walls of text, and that's fine. That's books. That's how they're made. But for a visual novel, you can decrease the amount that a person has to take in at a time, and that's great. Just do that for people. It's so much better. No, Pops, not an interrogation. I meant a question about me, like a personal question. Just one, though. Choose wisely.
Huh. Okay, I know. What was your granddad like?
Someone's like, oh, that was way more personal. I thought you were going to ask me if I like the beach or mountains.
Like he would care about that?
Well, he wouldn't, you know. Oh, you mean Zenigata?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Lupin doesn't think things will go badly for him. You don't share your information about me with anyone, right?
Of course not. That's all mine. I had to work my ass off finding it out.
Okay, then. I'll tell you. Only if you promise you won't share this one. It's only for your ears.
You got my word, as is any god.
Thanks, Pops. That means a lot. And I mean, both Lupin and Zenigata really care about their family name, so just, you know.
Yeah, this was a scene I kind of focused on the idea of them both having family legacy things to their whole oeuvre. And so I wanted to go like telling a little bit of Lupin's backstory. I think Royce already said this, that we wanted the game to be able to be played by somebody who'd never watched Lupin before, just as much as somebody who had. So this is kind of part of that.
Yeah, we've heard from a bunch of people on like the game page and stuff going like, I got into Lupin through this. And it's like, yes!
I want everybody to get into Lupin knowing it's gay from the start. That's my goal with
Yeah,
every game.
yeah.
By the way.
My grandfather was a poor fisherman from Hamanaka, Hokkaido. And that's where Monkey Punch, the manga, is from. So, reference to Monkey Punch. And a joke that that's his real granddad. Lupin! Oh, sorry. I stole your line.
You. How dare you, Lupin!
Ooh.
I gave you my word on the family name. Don't family pride mean nothing to you?
Okay. He doesn't have to besmirch my family pride. Well, you know what most people know. He was a legendary gentleman thief, Arsène Lupin. He was already pretty old by the time I was running around the manor.
Yeah, the family manor that used to belong to the Count de Dre? I can't speak French.
That's okay, neither can Zenigata. No.
Count de Dre.
Zenigata should be able to speak French. He works at the ICPO.
You say it then.
Count de Dre.
Count de Dre.
I believe. Dre. It should be Dre.
Well, if Luce is still here.
Yeah.
Count de Dre. That's the count your granddad stole the queen's necklace from, right?
Right on the money, Pops. I don't think in the manga or in the anime we're given a location for the Lupin family manor, so I just kind of went back to the books on some of that because there are some holdings that the Lupin family has. And the story of Arsène stealing the necklace is actually a really rad one. We're not here for Grandpappy Arsène, though. But, right on the money, Pops. Granddad retired in pretty ritzy luxury. But before that, everyone says he was a gentleman with the ladies and always kept his word.
Yeah, that's all the stuff I know from other sources, Lupin. What was your granddad like to you?
Yeah, Lupin's really dodging this. Did you ever hear one about this woman? Her wedding ring was stuck on her finger, so Granddad...
Lupin!
That's another really good story, but not the time. You're no fun. Truth is, me and Granddad didn't get along so well. What'd you expect? That I sat there like a good boy while he trained me to be a master thief?
So you were a handful, even for Lupin the First?
You'd better believe it. I drove the grumpy coot up the walls, and he did the same to me.
Of course you were a wild kid. I would have expected nothing less.
But he taught me everything he knew in the time he had. When he died, he set up this elaborate will reading, with other members of the family getting inheritance by lottery. But it was really just another one of his tests.
He faked his own death to fool his grandson?
Oh no, he was dead for real that time.
That time means he did it before!
Most people who die aren't really dead, Pops. Usually they're just faking.
Okay, this is a lot of things.
Yeah.
First of all, this is referencing the manga.
Yeah.
Which has Lupin's basically having a kind of like death maze trying to get his inheritance.
Okay, yeah, we are not going to get into the specifics of how Arsene the First is characterized in the manga, because we want to keep this stream safe for work. It's not great. He is really bad to young Lupin III. He tries to steal his organs. He throws him up against a murderer multiple times as a minor. Keeps throwing him in death mansions. And Lupin and Grandpa Arsene they're very volatile to each other. There is really, the respect that Lupin has for Grandpa Arsene is mostly in the anime. In the manga, his grandpa kind of doesn't earn it. But the way that Lupin gets his inheritance is through kind of like a lottery thing. His other relatives all kind of tie him up and force him to take whatever's left over afterwards, which ends up being Grandpa Arsene's little How I Did It Journal of Thievery. And long story short, Lupin uses that to kill the rest of his relatives.
Lupin kills his whole family.
It's the manga. It's the manga. Young Lupin made some choices. Yeah. Oh, monkey punch. Anyway, one of our characterizations that we really like for Lupin is that Lupin doesn't quite understand how death works. I don't think we've ever decided whether he just believes death doesn't exist or the idea of people dying is something he puts in the vault. You know, like, whenever anything, like, actually really bad and traumatic happens to him in the show, he kind of, like, stares for a moment and then goes off and does something else, and it's like, Lupin just put that in the vault.
Yeah, he has a moment where he starts to process a bad feeling, and then he goes, nope, and then he just puts it away, and he represses it.
Like I said, can't show that in a Christian anime.
Oh, this anime is extremely Christian. You get to see Jesus' twin sister, the vampire.
As known about in the Book of Lupin.
The Book of Lupin, of course.
Usually they're just faking. People don't die unless you cut them in half or shoot them in the head or something.
Lupin, are you being serious?
Well, fair's fair.
Zenigata putting it in his own vault. But that's the Lupin vault, which he will unpack later.
The thing about Zenigata is that he doesn't want to be mean to Lupin in this way.
Yeah.
Well, fair's fair. You want to know mine, then?
Yours?
Yeah, mine. I have a grandfather, too, you know. Maybe not as famous as yours, but all the Zenigatas have been detectives.
Yep. Zenigata is based on, Heiji Zenigata. Oh, I'm forgetting the author's name. Sorry about that, but we're gonna keep moving for right now.
He taught me a lot. He was always telling me I could do better. I never give up on trying to catch you. I know I can do it better the next time, thanks to him.
I guess I should remember to take him out next chance I get to go back in time.
Back in time? You better be joking, cause that's definitely a joke that was made specifically because this game is called Is Lupin Still Flirting? Named after Is Lupin Still Burning? The time travel special of Lupin.
Yeah, Susha and I had a minor tiff over whether we were going to say that Lupin still had the time machine. I'm like, I want to keep this friendly to new people. You can't just say that a dude has a time machine and then keep going.
Like, I mean, you can in Lupin Part 2. You can just say Nessie is real and keep going. You could just say Jesus' twin sister is a vampire and keep going. And that's the way it is. Back in time? You better be joking. Because you're already enough of a public menace in this time period.
Of course I'm joking. What he doesn't know won't hurt him. So what did he teach you?
Oh, I forgot that Live Bait's Scottish. I'm sorry for insulting Nessie. She's a beautiful animal. I'm so sorry. She likes singing. Very good.
She's just a cynic.
He taught me how to hit a target with a coin. That's the family signature, you know. I got real good at it, but he always said I needed to improve.
Yeah, that's a classic granddad for you. Never satisfied.
He would make me do that. Where's Wally? Sorry, I almost said shit.
He would make me do that where's Wally shit.
You know, the guy in the red striped shirt?
Lupin, I shouldn't insult. I shouldn't swear in front of you. I'm being a terrible influence. I'm the one who's supposed to put you on the straight and narrow. I can't believe I've done this. You mean, where's Charlie?
Wally. He would time me.
American readers might be going, do we not mean Waldo? Well, he's called Charlie in France and Wally in Japan.
Yeah, so this was a international joke, which we actually did research for. Got to the point where I could find him in under 8.3 seconds every time.
Charlie. And that's not very impressive, Pops. You should have just memorized Charlie's location.
Wally. And don't underestimate my training, Lupin. It wasn't the same old drawings of Wally every time. Granddad would make new ones. Ones in black and white.
That's sadistic.
It's how I can spot you no matter what.
That's another place where we had to cut out a lot.
Oh yeah, I had so many iterations of the scene. There was one where I thought it ended up being like, I didn't want to make it too angsty, and he got his backstory with his granddad because this is kind of a shorter, funnier game. Mm-hmm. But like my initial one was that his granddad was a little bit harsh critique-wise, and that he and Lupin could kind of bond on that. And I think that I had one where Zenigata was like, he set up a cookie jar that he murdered, quote unquote.
No, I think that's still in here. I think that's cute. Okay. Yeah, I think, I don't know.
He set up like a crime scene.
Yeah, let's see if we can get to that. But, I mean, even just the Where's Waldo thing, we kept going back and forth and making it like weirder and weirder and weirder until one of us said he had to solve it in black and white.
Yeah, we built up to the black and white, and then we were like, let's put that in, it's funny. You even wear red now. How very convenient.
I just like a challenge. Plus, the ladies love a showy guy.
Well, don't you go switching to a camo jacket, you hear? Won't do you any good, and you'll just look more the fool when I nab you.
Challenge is what I'm all about. One of the lessons from my grandpa.
Oh yeah? Grandpa Zenigata's challenges were on a whole nother level.
I love this scene because, like, they go back and forth being competitive, like, the Charlie Wally thing, that neither of them will, like, budge an inch on that either, you know, which is very, you know, earlier characterization for the two of them that, you know, it's supposed to be very immovable, very evenly matched.
Bet you can't beat this one. Once he staged a whole crime scene for me. Okay, I did leave this in. He had a smashed melon victim.
You made it a melon pop reference. Nice.
Smashed melon victim, and I had to figure out where the gunshot came from and find fingerprints and all that. He did stuff all over the kitchen. Mother was not pleased with that one.
I had tests like that too. There was this guest house on Granddad's estate, and it was already falling apart. So we'd hide things in there, and I had to climb around and find the loot without the floors and stuff collapsing on me.
How old were you when you started that training?
7. And when I was 12, he started hiring people to hide in there and try to stop me. And he never hired the same people twice. They must have been so ashamed to get beaten by a kid. I mean, imagine, you're a career killer with a Bowie knife, and you're up against a kid, and he still drops a marble pillar on you. I'd be too ashamed to show my face again, too. Yeah, so that's a little bit more with, like, Lupin's not quite understanding death thing. That was our way to kind of bridge the gap between who he was in the manga and who he is in part 2, to just kind of have him not know that all of those people were dead.
I mean, the thing is, like, in part 2, and in plenty of Lupin iterations, dropping a stone pillar is not something that would stop Zenigata. It's not something that would stop any of the people in the Loop Gang because they're immortal. Like,
yeah,
it's about this I think I like the idea that Lupin imagines that everybody is more or less like a chess piece. You know, you can take them off the board, but chess pieces don't die.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Lupin, you know, kind of he knows that he's in a cartoon in many ways, but like, you know, if he's kind of been hopping from one genre to the other, and I don't know.
This is just playful.
It's
way to explain away something that would be angsty with something funny.
Yeah. Like we could get deeper into like, does Lupin really know what he did? Is this just his way of handling it? But you know, it's better to keep this as just kind of a bit of a dark joke, so that we can keep things light. I mean, of course, we could probably keep things much lighter by not mentioning this in the first place, but it's fun.
I think the other backstory I knew we had was the Catholic school.
Oh yeah,
that we had a reference to trans Lupin in, but we took out because I just didn't feel like I could write it well.
I think there is a reference in here that's really light and mostly just for us to trans Lupin. But
I thought I took it out, not because I don't like it.
no, just because that's a lot to kind of like drop in, and you know.
It was harder to maneuver into my text.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a hurry. You know, we made this in a month.
Yeah, we made this in a month. What can we handle in a month?
Yeah. They, Lupin, I think those men...
They were wimps, right? See, this is where we can't really be too sure if Lupin is like, please validate what I've told myself, or if he really believes it. You don't know with Lupin, even when you're inside his head, and I like that.
Yeah, Lupin, glad you made it through your training.
See, Pops, don't underestimate me. Hey, looks like I impressed him with all that. He must be swooning over how cool I've always been. Always the master of my own destiny. Yeah, you got... And of course, Zenigata is not right now thinking about how cool Lupin is. He is thinking about...
Hey, Lupin, if you ever want to talk about your childhood some more...
Nice try, Pops. But you won't get all my secrets in one go.
Guess you're too much for anyone to handle. Anyone but me, that is. Lupin, a little bit touched there.
Yeah, Lupin can tell that Zenigata isn't prying, and that Zenigata is bolstering him up when, you know, they're kind of skating on the edge of some of his issues. So just a little sweetness. and then it's Lupin. Oh, we'll see about that. All right. Again, you know, I've been all over the world. Terrible, but that's what we need.
Terrible puzzle designer.
Terrible puzzle designer. You know, I've been all over the world. Climbed the pyramids, discovered the lost city under Alcatraz. Love it. Even been to space. But the one place I haven't explored is right there in your pants.
Lupin, you... Yeah, you've been all over, I guess.
Score! So long as I get him thinking about me first, my lines will land. Yep, lines about me are very effective. Well, what do you know? Talking about me has certainly been the right approach. When you got those lines, you know that you're locked into the first ending, which is the Lupin Escapes ending. He loves it, I love it. It's these little similarities that will keep us going in our twilight years. Which for Pops will be any day now. We should treasure these moments while we have them, before the hearing loss kicks in. You know, I should let him know what he really means to me. Trouble. This train heist was going great, until you showed up.
So was your whole plan here just to steal this train? Where exactly were you gonna keep something this big?
I wasn't going to keep the train. She's beautiful, but I was focused more on the most beautiful lady on earth.
This was my favorite joke I wrote. What would Dame Judi Dench want with a train?
Yeah, you don't want to make too many pop culture references, but like this one was really good. Like this felt, it was such a part 2 feeling line. I love the idea that Zenigata would think of Judi Dench as the peak of beauty, and I mean, it is great taste, excellent taste. I'm not saying he's wrong, but it just, what a good joke. What a very good joke.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I obviously meant Fujiko! And she would just ride it with me, like we're doing right now. In fact, you're the thief today, Pops, because you're stealing my date time with this whole scheme of arresting me.
All this for a date? I can't believe that story.
Only the best for Fuji cakes. If you don't believe me, check under that bench. He's checking the wrong bench, but I can't wait to see his face when he finds what I hid under it. Gorgeous lingerie. I got it in red to match the jacket that I will definitely have already taken off by the time she'd be wearing that. Oh, Lupin. Lupin, you're so confident.
Is this underwear? But you can see right through it. Also,
This is a reference. We know Lupin's underwear preferences.
We do. Also, I was gonna say, what a shame that we couldn't have a Zenigata sprite wearing the lingerie as the reward for this ending. I mean, what a good ending that would be. This the sort of thing you like, Lupin?
That's the point.
It ain't proper.
Look, Pops, if you don't see the appeal, I can put it on and show you.
Okay, wait, Lupin sprite with it on.
Lupin would totally wear it.
Lupin would look way better in it too.
Well, he'd be really confident, you know? Like
That's the thing. He can wear lingerie with the kind of confidence that it needs.
Yeah. Just take these cuffs off so I can...
I should have known.
Can't blame me for trying.
Of course I.
Anyway, the other bench, that stuff was for after the date. He goes back to digging around and pulling everything out. I prepared it all carefully. Champagne bottle and nice, all polished up to look new, but it's aged, of course. Dom Perignon, rose gold. Sush went and looked up some fancy.
I'm pretty sure this is like $10,000 or $20,000 wine or something like that.
I had fun stealing a bottle that pricey from a collector, but even if I hadn't, it would have been worth it for her. And then there's caviar, already on ice with a mother-of-pearl spoon monogrammed with a fancy F just for her. I wanted to cut that monogrammed spoon line because we were so late in the dev stuff, and I was like, I can't draw a spoon.
Yeah, I think that caviar was one of the last things you drew, and you definitely didn't have time to put in a spoon.
No.
Oh yeah, so go ahead.
And then some little baked goods that I got from a local bakery, fresh as essential. I even paid for those. I may not be quite the gentleman Granddad was, but I'm not going to steal from some working stiff. And that's also more the Koike films, which he's like, I'm gonna. They steal just a random dude's car, and he's like, I'm gonna feel bad about this in the morning.
Yeah, I would say that's more by the fact that we don't really see Lupin stealing from people who aren't rich.
Yeah,
basically
he's
at any time.
He wants to act like he doesn't have a code of honor, but he really does.
Yeah, I mean, even in any of the films where he's taken somebody stuff kind of impromptu, he usually goes back and pays them back. I'm forgetting which film it is. I think it's Mermaid. He steals the little cart from a girl, and he goes and refines her and covers it because he didn't mean to screw up somebody's very small business.
Yeah.
This sure looks like fancy stuff. Another one of your hauls apprehended. Ready for the evidence room.
That would be a huge waste. That caviar will taste like cheap crap in a week or two. The pastries will get stale. We should just eat this stuff. Plus, a $50,000 bottle of champagne wasting away in an evidence room? Unacceptable, Pops. He looks completely stunned.
You gotta be kidding me. Who the hell would pay that much for a bottle of champagne?
Not me.
That's my second favorite joke. You rotten little crook.
Zenigata shakes a fist at me, as if he doesn't already have me chained up. What's another bottle or two on my criminal record, huh? A few $1,000 here or there? At least let's eat the caviar and the pastries. I bought those fair and square. Don't you want to reward me for lawful behavior?
Bought them? Well, you really bought them with your own money?
And the dollars weren't even forged. Come on, Pops. It's not often I get to eat an honest meal with an honest man.
I guess there's no real harm.
You ever had good caviar, Pops?
It's basically just like roe on sushi, right?
Sure. This man's life is a big fat zero. He opens up the jar and gives it a cautionary sniff.
You eat it first.
As if I'd poison food for Fujiko. Oh, we gotta look out. Are we reusing that joke in the JigLup game with the?
No.
As if okay. All right, just want to make sure. It feels similar.
It's similar-ish, but that's because I'm obsessed with food. Shut up.
She'd kill me for real if I tried something like that. Even worse than that, she'd never trust my cooking again. Oh, wait, that gives me an idea. Will you put the spoon in my mouth? Anyway, all he has to do is lean over here just once. That key is as good as mine. Pops is a real sucker sometimes. It's endearing. I hold my mouth open and wiggle my tongue just a little.
Lupin, cut that out!
Wow. He scoops up a spoonful and chomps it down.
It's not bad.
Not bad. He took such a huge bite and he's not even savoring it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Look at that shitty little face. It even makes me angry. Yeah, I bet.
He takes the big spoonful, shooting me a smug grin.
Yeah, one thing about Lupin's characterization here kind of waffled on whether Lupin should, really care about the food getting wasted, because a lot of times Lupin does not care about, like the finery that's around him. He treats it very cavalierly. But my feeling on this one was that like it has more impact and it's more weight and it's more valuable to him because he could be eating it with Fujiko. So of course he thinks this stuff is valuable. He's decided it's valuable.
So buttery.
It's a little humiliating having to watch him scarf down my victory meal, but I'm gonna have the last laugh. It'll be fine. My stomach rumbles. Traitor.
Oh, you want a little?
He reaches his arm out, full spoon, and I am pretty hungry. Not close enough for me to frisk him for the keys, but I'm willing to forgive that for a spoonful of good caviar. Only the best for my Fujiko. He puts it in my mouth. Ah, that's the fresh stuff. The first bite when you're hungry is a relief. And I need my strength for my upcoming escape. Then it helps that he looks a bit cute. So how about a chocolate croissant? I reach out my hands toward them and fake gripping them. I want some flaky pastries. And another chance at escaping, of course.
I suppose.
He picks up a pastry and tears it in half. He holds one half out to me. It smells so sweet. A little closer, Pops. I can't reach. He rolls his eyes, but he does come closer to put it in my mouth. I dart a hand up his coat and hit the jackpot. Keys! I take a bite, and that is one delicious pastry. I have to congratulate myself on picking a great bakery. While I'm chewing, he starts on his half. I have a few moments to quietly and quickly get a couple of these pesky chains off. Ada? He's missing a key! He's learned not to keep them all on one key ring. Gotta go back in. Pops. You're pretty good.
This is making me kind of thirsty.
Yeah, that's what the champagne was for. He eyes the bottle. I know he's thinking about it. I can't stick around too long, but it would be an unexpected pleasure to see him break down and open that thing. Plus, I really did want to try it. I can tell everyone that I opened it and drank it myself.
Well...
Pop that bottle, Pops! Come on, let's taste some real expensive grapes! Couldn't hurt to celebrate my escape with the man who made it all possible. He uses those big hands to give that bottle a firm twist. The cork pops out and a bit of the bubbly splashes out. Ooh, Pops, I bet you just spilled $100 on the floor.
Oh God, you're right!
Well, let's not waste another drop. I smirk and lick my teeth a little. He tilts the bottle back and takes a swig. Pops, there are glasses, you animal! He looks a little embarrassed, but not nearly enough. He's a big goof. I don't know how in character that line is, but it's very sweet.
I'm not usually a champagne guy, but this stuff is really nice.
I'll tell the guy who stole it from you said that.
Oh shoot, Lupin, I almost forgot you stole this!
He grabs the glasses and pours generously into each. When he hands it to me, I feel a certain urge to clink them. Probably just habit. Here's to you, big guy. Thanks for always pushing me to be my best.
Same here, you weasel.
We each gulp it down. It's sweet and complex, like a good relationship. Pop sits back, a glum look overtaking him.
I can tell what you're trying to do, and I think it's rotten.
Meta?
It's not right. Playing with a man's heart like this.
He slumps back a little in his seat. I guess I'm so used to seeing Pops running about everywhere, bellowing louder than a foghorn. Enough energy to propel not just himself forward, but to drive every single person around him to join in or get out of the way. It gives me this weird feeling I sometimes get when I look at him, like there's something pulling and stretching in my chest. I like it a little, and I hate it a little. Hey, Pop, Zenigata? He doesn't lift his head, but his eyes flick over to me. It looks more like curiosity than hopefulness. I can tell he's trying to hide how flustered he is. I really got in there, didn't I? Look, I don't get a lot of time one-on-one with you, you know? You can't expect me to pass up the chance to have a little fun.
A little fun, Lupin. Try a lot of fun. You're making me into a lot of it.
Even when he's tired, he can't help but snap back. Look, I'll make it up to you. I'll prove that I really do like you.
Yeah? How will I know you ain't lying?
Because I won't tell you anything. I'll use my mouth for something else.
Lupin, you can't mean...
Get your head out of the gutter, Pops. I meant a kiss. He turns even redder at that. He hadn't even been thinking about taking a trip south. I'm almost offended.
This is a terrible idea. You probably got a camera hidden and you're gonna use this to get me sacked or something.
If I thought that would have worked, I'd have tried it years ago. Nope. I'm stuck with you today, it seems, so I might as well make the most of it. Get over here before I come to my senses, okay?
Are you really sure?
Pops, just come over here and kiss me before I lose my nerve, okay? That gets his attention and he jumps to his feet. He looks concerned for me, so I can tell that I'm giving a pretty good performance. Imagine thinking that I'd lose the nerve to kiss anyone. This is just Zenigata. He's so nervous he's about to trip into me. But since I've taken care of the chains with my feet, I close the gap on my own, tilt my head, and catch his lips with mine. What a doofy kiss. Little leg pop. So silly. That's really not bad. It's better if someone's relaxed, but nervous is still better than disinterested. He's initially seized up into a chaste, comical pucker, but I patiently soften my mouth. And he does the same, sighing happily into the kiss. Oh, not like I thought I was wrong about his feelings or anything, but actually locking lips with the guy makes it all feel really real. He risks another kiss, and I am only too happy to welcome him into another, and another. This wouldn't really be too bad, would it? Letting him wrap those big arms around me. I'd planned to try to get a cutie in here for a little fun, so it's just a slight change of plans. And it's so much better with someone you know, someone you've already spent a little back and forth with, someone who you have feelings for. Whoa! Would you look at that? My distraction worked just as planned. So, yeah, like, Lupin's not really trying to come to terms with his own feelings for Pops. He's like, oh, that goes in the vault too. I'm free. Well, Pops feels so foolish when he realizes it was all an act, just as usual. I steal just one more kiss from the Rube with the really soft lips. Okay, maybe two more. Damn, I'm so close I can feel his eyelashes. Okay, time to go. I pull away, hands out, stretched outward, posing for the prestige.
Lupin?
Huh? I'd expected that I'd need to scramble away now, but he's transfixed, staring at my face. And we waited to use that.
That sprite is barely used in the game at all.
Yeah, we wanted that to be, you know, Lupin does not understand his feelings. He's bad at his own emotional inventory. But we wanted this to be a moment where Zenigata realizes that Lupin has feelings for him, and that Lupin does not know he has feelings for Zenigata. Is there something on it? Fooled you, Pops! You're such a sucker! Oh well, better luck next time! I swing the bars up and I'm halfway through the window by the time he blinks, and though his eyes follow me, they're the only part that does.
Lupin, you spent all this time on my feelings, and you didn't think about yours.
What is that? That's when I hit the ground and roll. So yeah, there's probably a lovely, you know, fic or scenario right there of Lupin jumping out the window and Zenigata going, oh my god, he loves me. Zenigata's like...
Then, as he speeds away on the train, Zenigata writes a whole POV fic, first person fic, where he goes like, oh my god, Lupin actually has feelings for me and he doesn't notice.
What do? There's some gravel near the tracks. That's unfortunate. But I quickly roll over onto some grass and take a moment, looking up into the bright blue sky. terrible clouds. I'm working on it. I'm learning to draw clouds.
That's okay. You're a terrible artist. We forgive you.
I'm bad at art. I'm so bad. Sushi is actually really nice to me about my art. Do not think that this is indicative of the way they actually talk about my art. They're very sweet.
You're my favorite artist in the whole universe.
No. See, this is why they have to talk like that.
Oh, my sweet.
No. Hello, you big beautiful world. Did you miss your Lupin? Don't worry, sweetheart. He'd never leave you high and dry. I pick myself up and breathe in the air around me. I forgot the land around here is full of cows. Sure smells like it. I take quick stock. I've got pants, shoes, shirt, blazer, a sassy little pair of striped unmentionables, and the head on these shoulders. Not a cent to my name, nor a friendly face in sight. Ha! C'est la vie! As I walk, I wonder for a moment what Pops was saying back there. That there was something I didn't know. Ridiculous. I planned every little thing that happened in there, and I got a little smooching out of it. My heart beats a little faster, thinking about that kiss. I cram my scraped hands into my pockets and whistle a jazzy little tune. Dance cards wide open, you sexy, sexy world. Who wants to dance with Lupin next? So,
There you go, that's ending number 1.
It's ending number 1. A little callback both to, the dance cards and all that jazz, but also that, those stories of romance used to make his heart beat a little faster, and Zenigata was doing that for him.
All right,
Yep.
press skip end credits
Skip
and get to that.
Yeah. We have to keep moving. All right, time to get the failing at flirting ending. The specifically, mostly failing to escape. All right, you must be exhausted. You've been running through my mind all day.
Yeah, that's not enough to. It's not enough to pursue physically. You gotta have a psychological hold on your quarry.
Ugh.
I caught up to your train of thought, and then I caught up to this darn vehicle too.
Pick up lines that make Pops focus on himself. It's a pretty risky strategy, but it might pay off. Have you been able to do some sightseeing, Pops?
No.
Other than the Grand Canyon, right? I made sure you saw that.
Who's counting that? You left me there hanging off the edge.
But that's the closest view you can get.
And I still have sand in my damn trench coat.
So you even got souvenirs. What are you complaining about, you big grump? Whiner. I know I've provided him a chance to experience more culture than almost anyone on Earth. He could be stuck behind a desk or patrolling some tiny town way up in the mountains of Japan or something. But instead, he's jet-setting around like a true cosmopolitan. He even gets to touch some of the most priceless art and gems. I mean, at least until I take them off his hands. Still, seems to me like he has it pretty damn good. But that's Pops for you. He always finds a way to spin it so negatively. Zenigata could say a day full of sunshine and say it hurts his eyes. And on a rainy day, spend the whole time grumbling about the puddles. Only one thing makes him happy, and that's him thinking he got the better of me. And he only ever thinks he has. Maybe once or twice he made me work a little harder, but he never had me permanently, or else I wouldn't be here. Chains or no chains, Lupin III is always just a short time away from being free as a bird. Being in a position like this is really just what I like to call my soon-to-escape mode. It's not really being captured. It's just a temporary state of pre-freedom. That's a good line Sushi wrote.
Thank you.
And speaking of breaking free, I've got to work my charm on Pops. Let's try a bit of flattery. That'll cheer him up. You really drive me crazy with those big hands of yours when you're chaining me up.
You don't have to mock me like that, Lupin.
I'm not mocking you. It's great that you're such a big guy. Your height's one of your better qualities. If I had it, I bet I could double my long jump. Plus, I bet it's really good for your job, right? Intimidating.
It can be. Well, people are startled when I come around the corner. It can give people a bad first impression.
Sure, but then you can impress them by showing them how hard you can grab my arms, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if everyone stares at me and thinks I'm scary, so long as I'm striking fear into your heart, Lupin.
You certainly do something in my heart, Pops.
Lay it off already, you weasel.
Aw, Pops, it can't be that bad.
When I first got my growth spurt, I was real clumsy and I knocked stuff over. Kids used to call me Godzilla.
Well, you can be pretty destructive. But not as much as me. Zenigata's actually a big teddy bear when he's not running or yelling. When I'm disguised as a lady, he's always really polite. Not suave or classy, he'll always be a country bumpkin at heart. But very kind. But now I'm picturing him as a little kid, or a big kid, I guess, tripping over his own feet. It's oddly charming to imagine, but it was probably hard on the guy, being so much bigger. Ugh. Can't get too sentimental about him, or else I might start feeling sorry for him. I'm supposed to be throwing him off kilter here, not making myself sentimental. I'd take a moment to stretch as well as I can in these cramped cuffs. Alright, so we've looped back around to the text that we'll have before the choice.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what we choose here because we're not going to get this ending.
Yeah, well...
So we'll pick Goemon, it doesn't matter because we're not going to get him.
Yeah. The only problem Goemon would have with cutting through these boards is that they might be beneath his skills, at least in his opinion. I think cutting a train in half is impressive and challenging. I'll probably owe him one for the rescue, but at least he won't get chatty about it. And any excuse to sit back and watch Goemon wield Zentetsuken is worth it. He's incredible. But don't tell him I said that, okay? Alright. Your clothes would look great on my bedroom floor. I know, because I've seen them there dozens of times.
Yeah, because you keep stealing them to make disguises.
Okay, let's butter up Pops for a bit. You really got me good this time. Oh, I forgot this. This one's cute.
I got you with the old 360 upwards cuff toss.
The 360 what? Oh my god, you have names for your cuff throws.
Of course I do, Lupin, and not just the throws, all my techniques.
I can't help myself. I have to ask. It's compelling in a pathetic sort of way. Okay, what are they? Pops gets to his feet with a pair of cuffs in hand. He swings them way too close to my nose!
I call this one the steel cleaver because it goes in an arc and straight through. And that is a Zentetsuken joke.
Yeah, that's what Zentetsuken translates to.
Steel cleaver, so.
Zenigata shoves a cuff right into my face and it almost hits my forehead, but stops just before.
I call this one the monkey punch because it goes straight into your monkey face. You know who that's a reference to. Keep going.
The big moron takes a wide, focused stance and stares.
This one's a classic. It's called the Melon Cop, and I don't have to explain why it's called the Melon Cop.
He didn't have to. It was obvious. We don't have to explain why that's called the Melon Cop. I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, we love him. Thanks, Melon.
Melon Cop taught Zenigata how to throw cuffs. So yeah.
There you go.
But it also works if you have no idea what the context is, because it is absurdly opaque.
Very obscure joke for only Lupin nerds.
Yeah. Zenigata holds two cuffs out, one in each hand.
This one right here is called the Zenigata March, because that's the one that gets me the most fired up to march you off to jail.
Zenigata's theme is called the Zenigata March.
Of course, it only works with my specially designed locking mechanism, I'm sure you've noticed.
Oh boy, how I've noticed. When I'm cuffed, by your average schmuck who thinks he's gotten one over on me, it's usually simple enough to slip out of them. Most people don't know how to properly close handcuffs and leave them too loose. But even when they do lock them right, plenty of cuffs have a safety latch that the general public doesn't know about. The really good cuffs make it hard for a cuffed guy to get to the latch. But my fingers are dexterous in ways most people can't believe. Really, this girl I was with last month said just that she couldn't believe half the stuff I was doing with my hands. But Pops has a much better idea of what I can do. Not a better idea in bed, I mean. He wishes! Last time he got me in for a good frisk, he measured all my fingers. I thought it was just him being obsessive. But then he started making cuffs where I couldn't reach the latch. He didn't stop there. Cuffs on the end of a lasso, tiny finger cuffs, huge manacles. Those are all from part 2. It's gotta be a fetish, right? Who spends that much time and effort on something that isn't a fetish, right?
Why we spend time on anything.
Yeah, I didn't want to get, too, dirty boy with this talk, but I do like the idea that, Lupin cannot understand somebody working hard on something that, isn't for sexy times. It was just a really funny train of thought for him.
I mean, he, solved the JFK murders just to get into a girl's pants, so that's, totally how Lupin thinks. It's why would you do anything except to get Fujiko to...
I mean, I guess my stealing isn't a fetish. When I'm getting diamonds for Fuji cakes, that's just good old-fashioned lovin'. So I guess you're off the hook for now, Pops. These custom cuffs of yours are really getting to be a pain in my backside.
I had to learn so much about tumblers and ratchets. I didn't even know what a dang pawl was before I met you. But I gotta keep up with you, or else I'll never get you put away.
The fact that you can fit 6 bolts into a single cuff? That is pretty impressive. I mean, impressive for a beginner.
Don't you dare pretend I can't design stuff that stumps you. Unless you're ready to call yourself a beginner escape artist.
Never.
Looks like you have to concede I'm good at something then.
You are a challenging puzzle, Pops, I'll give you that. I can't tell him this or he'll start to get a big head about it, but Zenigata's the only guy who could hold on to me for more than a few seconds. That's not just conjecture. I test it regularly. I guess I have to admit, if I didn't have him dogging my trail, this whole thing would be a real snooze fest. And he is pretty good at popping up from absolutely nowhere and slapping the cuffs on with one of his crazy moves. Of course, when he gets excited and starts celebrating, I slip him off and lock him onto something. Nothing is more fun than the moment he realizes he's chained to an out-of-control speedboat or a jet plane missing a wing.
I'm pretty sure both of those have happened.
Both of those have happened. Still, much like myself, I'd like to get the conversation as far away from the cuffs as possible. He's much too confident about those. Say, Pops, is that a new haircut?
Yeah. Hadn't taken my hat off. How'd you know?
Look, sometimes maybe I check in on him a little, okay? It's no big deal, just standard caution. But I can't have Pops realizing that. Lucky guess!
Sure, Lupin.
What's with that smug look? Your hat is sitting lower on your head. Maybe you're balding, huh, Pops?
You rude little monkey.
Didn't know I gave you any time to go get your hair cut.
Barely. I have to cut it myself most of the time.
No wonder it looks like that.
Like you're one to talk. Doesn't Jigen cut your hair?
How'd you find that out? You stalking me again, Pops? Stupid line. Oh my god, that's stupid.
Of course I am. If I ain't stalking, it's my goddamn job.
If you want people to notice how you look, maybe you should show a little more skin. I can help you with that.
I'll be the one helping you with that. During your strip search when we get you to New York.
I can't believe he's still so confident. I'm losing my grip here. Alright, and... You're pretty good behind the wheel, Pops.
Well, thanks. You know, it's not easy keeping up when you veer right off the road.
Well, you don't make it easy for me either, Pops. You might even say that you drive me crazy.
Lupin! I thought you really meant that compliment. Wait, did he just say that I...
Okay, I think I've done a real good job focusing on Pops. And so this lets you know that you're locked into the Zenigata ending. I think it's time to butter him up by letting him be the hero. Let's appeal to his better nature and give him a chance to do some real justice by giving me something to eat. So this is our second little date. The first date they have Lupin's fancy food. This is the date where they have something else.
I wanted to kind of have a reward for the two endings where you kind of did the more challenging ending, because you can get Jigen or Goemon pretty easily.
Yeah, you have to choose these exact options to get these two, and then we'll talk just a little bit about the Jigen and Goemon endings, which are very easy to get. I'm famished. I'll appeal to his better nature. Any chance we can stop this train for a little lunch break?
No need to stop. I'm prepared with the perfect portable option.
Do you have something behind the handcuffs? Maybe he's gonna try to feed me a handcuff sandwich? Ah, should have guessed. He brings out his usual staple. Instant noodles, a thermos of hot water. Wow, he even looks happy about it. Proud somehow. Red, huh? That's your favorite kind. He looks up from pouring the hot water into the noodles with his eyes sparkling. He seems touched that I remembered. Well, I only remembered in case I wanted to give him food poisoning. But when you think about it, that's how Pops shows he cares about me, right? By relentlessly collecting every fact he can about me and remembering it forever. So maybe it feels nice for him to know that I've got a few Zenny facts of my own stored away. Obsessive research is Zenigata's love language.
Lupin.
My stomach grumbles at the smell. It's just convenience store trash, but hunger's quite the spice. Looks like Zenigata heard that. He looks up from his noodles.
That was loud. How hungry are you exactly?
I was busy working on my date plans. So, I don't know, a day or so?
Lupin? Why would you do that?
Well, Jigen usually brings me snacks, but he was all moody about this idea and said he didn't want to help. Awfully selfish, if you ask me.
You should have been getting your own food.
Hindsight is 20/20, Pops.
Well, I only bought one. I figured you'd have gorged yourself on fillet of fish or whatever.
Oh my god, does he mean filet mignon? Or is he that hard up for cash that a fish sandwich is a treat? I'm not gonna pity him, I am not. Well, I didn't eat first, not a bite. Don't let me interrupt your little feast, though. I wave a chained arm, cavalier. He's looking so mournfully at those noodles now. Just the slightest bit of mock sincerity in my sad little eyes. He wouldn't deprive a poor, hungry Lupin, would he?
Okay, I'll share them with you.
And there it is! And when he moves in close, I can reach those keys. Aw, shucks, thank you, Inspector. You're a hell of a guy, you know? He seems a bit conflicted, but he scoots closer. Up close, I can see his long, dark lashes. He's handsome, I guess. In an ugly sort of way.
I'm pretty sure that exactly is how I would describe Zenigata's appeal. He's handsome in an ugly sort of way.
He lifts up a mass of steamy noodles with his chopsticks and blows on them gently. It's not very often I get to see him do anything gently. He spends plenty of time being sweet to people who aren't me, but as he brings the noodles closer to my mouth, it's a reminder of his kind heart. He's even giving me the first bite. I open my mouth just a bit. As he gets close enough for my hand to start to brush into the first pocket on his coat, I hear a loud noise behind my head. Oh, I forgot! That choice does matter!
Oh, yeah.
I crane my head to see a solemn face in the window. Goemon's voice is muffled over the sound of the train. He nods. What did Goemon?
I see. You are occupied and have a plan. I'm not needed.
And with that, he disappears from view. Goemon, wait, come back! Yeah, Lupin and Jigen actually have a little bit more of a back and forth there. I think Jigen goes like, sorry, boss. He said, when the train's a-rockin', don't come a-knockin'.
Yeah, this ending, you get to see a little bit of either Jigen or Goemon approaching, seeing that Lupin seems to be having it in hand. Jigen basically just jealously going like, screw you, man.
No, Jigen's not that jealous in this one. He's a bit more wry about it. He's like, oh. I thought about it more as the fact that Jigen is very happy that he does not see Fujiko there, and he's like, oh, Pops, that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, not jealous. He's more doing the thing that Lupin would do to him if Lupin had done, if Jigen had done something that annoyed him, which was leave him to have to get out of his own mess. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, he's not actually in danger. He doesn't need me to rescue him. It doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, he knows Lupin can escape from a jail. He knows Lupin can handle himself. He's really just letting it go.
Yeah. Goemon, wait, come back! I wave my arms at least as best as I can in these damn chains. And then I feel extremely hot broth all over my pants. Owie! Ow, hot! And at this point, Inspector Zenigata took off my pants. And well, one thing led to another. And before you know it...
Lupin, I did not!
And Your Honor, the next thing we did, well, I feel like it's not appropriate to say in open court.
Lupin!
Across the courtroom, my defense attorney has his spiky-haired head in his hands.
Oh no, I knew it was a bad idea to take on this client.
Ba, ba. Yeah, so of course, Ace Attorney reference, we've got we'll finish. There's Phoenix, right? A local detective is just barely managing to hold Pops back. He's about to go into conniptions over there. So poor Detective Gumshoe has to deal with Zenigata. Inspector, please don't interrupt the witness's testimony.
Objection! Permission to treat the witness as hostile, Your Honor!
Inspector Zenigata, you can't object, you're not a lawyer! And you can't remove him, you're not even the bailiff! He's in the same room as me, and all his instincts must be screaming at him to run over and stop me. But he can't catch me. He already caught me. The detective manages to calm Pops, so I stick my tongue out at him, and it sets him off all over again. You know, being in court is actually bunches of fun. I should have done this years ago. This is, while they've been in a courtroom before, it was not Lupin on trial. Like,
Yeah, they've been in the audience for a trial a couple of times, but
What?
they've never been on the stand.
he's never actually gone to trial. And what a wasted premise.
Yeah, you could have him. He loves to stand on the podium and testify, my friend.
Oh,
That is what he's all about.
Yeah, so, man, I think that this is just such a fun way to get to end. You know, Lupin didn't escape, but he's still causing trouble. It still fits. I should have done this years ago. Mr. Lupin, that was quite the tale. Are you done with your confession? That one, sure. But I'm certain that old Pops over there wouldn't be satisfied with just one, right? Let's start at the beginning. It was either a dark and stormy night at a mansion, or a bright and sunny day at a racetrack. And so those are references. The dark and stormy night at a mansion is the first chapter of the manga, and the bright and sunny day at a racetrack is the first episode of part 1. So those are two places where you could argue that it all started, and both of them have Zenigata chasing Lupin. So, which one came first? Either way, tell the stenographer we're gonna be here a while. He has a captive audience, and he can just go on and on. He's very happy. Ending 4. I like you too, Pops. All right.
So those are the two special endings. That ending 4 does have 2 iterations of like Jigen coming to the rescue and then leaving. All right. So we gonna do Jigen and Goemon ending now?
Yep.
All right.
All right. So basically, as you might have heard at the beginning of this, I'm not very good at explaining the gameplay loop of this, but essentially we keep kind of looping around and getting to choose these flirting options over and over and over. And there are 3 different kind of tracks. There's 3 different mini novels. And every time you choose one of these options, you get funneled into reading a section of one of those mini novels.
So there was like Zenigata 1, Zenigata 2, Zenigata 3. There was Lupin 1, Lupin 2, Lupin 3, and then there was Random 1, Random 2, Random 3. And if you had picked like Zenigata 1 before this, you will get Zenigata 2. If you had picked Random 1 before this, you get Random 2.
So the thing is, you could if you picked Lupin options every time, then you'd keep reading the Lupin mini novel, so to say, in order. But if you picked like a Lupin choice, which is like a successful flirt, and then you picked an unsuccessful flirt, for the successful flirt, you'd get chapter 1, let's say, of the Lupin route. And then if you picked an unsuccessful flirt, you'd get chapter 1 of the Zenigata route. And then if you went back to the Lupin one, then you'd get chapter 2 of the Lupin route.
But you wouldn't get to 3, so you wouldn't get the right ending.
So basically, we've gone through the 2 routes where you have to choose the right answers in order. This last one is the 3rd route. And this one will funnel you into being rescued by Jigen or Goemon. And the thing is, if you get this ending, if you choose the, 3rd option for this route all 3 times, but you also get this ending if you mix and match. Because this is the ending when Lupin takes too long to get out on his own, and he doesn't, have them come by and decide not to rescue him. This is the route where you basically fail the worst to flirt. The ending right at the end here, like Zenigata and Lupin are like almost at each other's throats. It does not go romantic. You could say that like the Lupin route is successfully flirting with Zenigata and making his heart go doki doki. Anyway, I'll just keep going. So here we go. Here's Lupin's last pickup line: Titanic. Sorry, I guess that's not much of an icebreaker.
Over 1,500 people died, Lupin. Show some respect. I think somebody in the chat said that they just say Titanic to their partners.
Oh my god, excellent. Yay. Yay. Oops. Perhaps that was a bit too sassy for him. Maybe I should act weak? Pops, these cuffs are tight. It's chafing.
Serves you right. If I give you any space, you'll dislocate your fingers and slip out.
I would never. He's completely right, I would. But he could stand to feel at least a little guilty about bringing me in.
No Goemon here to cut you out either.
Also, Sushi had to cut, like, a tiny rant of mine that, like, when escaping from cuffs, dislocating your fingers doesn't actually help. That's a total misnomer. But I won't get into it. But that's cut content. We just kept going.
Because it's a game that's for fun, not for accuracy. They're riding on a train.
He looks real smug. It's insufferable. You're so lucky he isn't, because he'd cut you in half just to rescue me.
I don't know. Seems like Goemon tries not to hurt me. Or any of the folks I work with.
Yeah, these options will get you dialogue about Goemon and then Jigen next, I think.
The newbies are always a little shell-shocked when they get their clothes sliced off them, but when the other option is getting chopped up, it's weird for sure, and it ain't decent. But he does seem like a decent guy.
Only because I tell him not to. If I didn't, you'd have been headless instead of just brainless, Pops.
Come on, Lupin. No way he does all that because you say so. You can't be ordering him around.
Everyone in the gang listens to me! If they didn't, how would we have such seamless and perfect heists?
That don't sound right. I mean, Fujiko betrays you halfway through most of the time. Can't imagine a guy as strong as Goemon's just taking orders from you.
It's all about how you tell people to do things, you know? You have to ask the right way.
And that's what the next game's about.
Goemon knows I have good plans. It's easy.
If you disagree, do you fight? Because I feel like Goemon could beat you.
He could not! He never has! We have diplomacy. We don't just fight to the death whenever we have an argument.
I feel like you would sometimes. You both seem real stubborn.
Nonsense. It was only 4 or 5 times. Maybe 6. Listen, Pops, obviously our bond is over your head. The winner isn't just the one who can lift the most weights.
So he is stronger than you.
The strongest force in the world is friendship!
That sounds like a personal consolation to me.
That's rich coming from a guy with no friends. Yeah, this is the route where you fuck up. Seems like that hurt his feelings. I don't really think this got me anywhere. Damn temper. I take a moment to stretch, as well as I can in these cramped cuffs. So, when do you think I'm gonna make a break? Okay, we will skip. We've already seen this bit. Let's go for the Goemon ending this time. And okay, the only problem he'd have, he's incredible. And then treat me like a pirate and let me steal your booty. See, that's about Zenigata. That shouldn't have been a third option. It's a bad puzzle.
You made it make no sense.
No sense whatsoever.
What booty? You don't have anything on me. I don't have anything on me you could be targeting.
Looks like that one went a little over his head. Things work better if I focus on either him or me. I think the dialogue options for like the choices were actually one of the last things that we wrote, and I was tired. I was very tired, and that's not a good thing to leave till last.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you weren't explaining it very well to me and Tammy,
Yeah.
and we were both like, what does he want? And you were like, I'll write it myself. And then,
Yep.
And then when the options were finished, I was like, well, I don't know. I just know which ones to pick to get the endings, so that's it.
Oh yeah, it was very.
So glad we made this such a well-made game for everyone.
Oh well, wanting to go back and redo is for cowards. I put that in there to try to encourage people to, like, you know, not save scum, because there's nothing wrong with save scumming in a visual novel, but we had a bunch of different endings, so, you know,
It's worth giving a go.
It's also nice to let people not feel like they've made a mistake, because in this game we weren't really thinking about, like, there's not really mistakes, you just get different content.
Yeah, we were trying to make it, like, not feel stressful to make a quote-unquote wrong choice.
Let's steam ahead and see what life has in store for me. Let's just talk about whatever. Just how long have you been chasing my tail?
As long as I have to.
Well, I guess you can give up now, huh? I'd better keep his mind off whatever he wants to do with me now that he's caught me. I don't want to hear about it, okay? Pops' career is over. He has nobody else to chase. He might as well shave his head and become a monk.
I'm not doing that again.
Again? Fuma conspiracy reference.
I would have to catch Jigen next.
You sure moved on quick, Pops. I thought we had something special. But I don't know if you could do it. Jigen's slippery, like an eel. He's not. He's very easy to catch. Oh, sure, he talks a big game. But nobody can beat me in a chase, and it always ends the same, even if I've got to tackle him. Hey, wait a second. Yeah, that's just a joke saying that maybe Jigen lets Lupin win for his own reasons.
Jigen's like, oh, you can't catch me. 10 seconds later, Lupin has leaped on top of him, and he goes, oh, you got me, man.
Yeah,
you really got me.
You can't get away now, I gotcha.
Oh, damn. What a bad situation for me.
You're so terrible at
I'm
this.
ashamed. Even if he's learned all your tricks, I'll get him.
I teach him all kinds of things.
Being a terrible influence.
Not true, Pops. I'm a good influence on him. He used to be a hitman, and now he doesn't kill anymore. Maybe a little, but only in self-defense. I'm making an honest man out of him.
Making an honest man. Well, good to know you finally tied the knot. He thinks they're married. But I'm hurt, Lupin.
Huh?
Thought you would have at least sent me an invite. Guess Goemon was the best man. And if Lupin's spoken for, no wonder Jigen gets so mad about him prancing around after Fujiko. Lupin! You gotta stop flirting with other people this instant. Think of poor Jigen at home fretting over you.
Oh, you got it wrong, Pops. Jigen won't marry me. He keeps saying engagement is a lie that women tell you. Only partners in crime are forever.
Do you think he might have some, issues with women?
You think? He does get real grumpy around the ladies. It's hard to spend time with guys who don't treat women like the absolute gems they are. But Jigen's an exception for a very special reason. He's scared of them. He tries to act cold, but Jigen's actually hiding a lot of heavy emotions under that hat brim of his. He's got a fierce desire to protect people, especially ladies and kids. Can't say no to a helpless face. Trouble is, a lot of the women he ends up meeting turn out to be spies, or not half as helpless as he thought. I don't mind the spicy twist of a femme fatale in the mix. But when someone he thought was relying on him switches sides, that kind of disloyalty breaks his poor heart. The answer, of course, is that he should spend more time with ladies he can trust, so he can see they're great.
Yeah, I used to underestimate the ladies I work with, too.
Rookie mistake, Pops.
It was rotten, getting shown up like that all the time. But they're nice memories now, you know? So I agree. Jigen should spend some time around strong-willed ladies. It's good for a man to do.
Preaching to the choir there, Pops. I was trying to arrange some quality time between him and Fujiko the other day. I even offered to hang out with them as an intermediary. A third person in their little evening out. A three-way, if you will.
Lupin! You didn't!
Didn't I? I did. But they wouldn't. Fujiko turns me down all the time, so it's really Jigen-chan I'm mad at. Imagine getting a shot at a whole night with Fuji cakes and turning it down? What an idiot! Turning down her soft voice, cooing in your ear. That gorgeous body, so beautiful, so devious, so determined. So good with her hands. I can just picture.
Lupin, you still with me?
Oh, nope, the real Lupin escaped 10 minutes ago. Oh my god, he's actually double-checking me to make sure. That's hilarious. Ow, stop pinching my face!
Take off the Lupin mask, Lupin!
I should change the subject before he rips my face clean off. Take off the Lupin mask, Lupin is also a really good line.
Face off.
Face off. But just that he wants to blame Lupin, and he doesn't know, like, he doesn't know what's real there, but he knows he's mad at Lupin about it. The view outside the window gets nice later.
Yeah, looks just like a bunch of crops to me.
No, not now, Pops. Later. Have you ever seen a sunset from a train?
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time looking out at that sky. Thinking about catching you.
Me too. Call me sentimental, but sunsets remind me of you.
Lupin?
You're just the same. Both of you are going down.
Still full of all that pep, huh, Lupin?
Well, I don't think that got me anywhere, but it is still fun to play with Pops. You talk about fate and your ancestors in your blood all the damn time. Do you really believe that stuff?
Of course. Some things are just the will of the universe.
Ugh, no. Thinking like that just makes the whole world a prison. What's the appeal?
It ain't about appeal, Lupin. It's just about the way the universe is. I don't get to pick.
That's your issue. So small-minded. You control the universe.
If I controlled the universe, why the hell would I still be chasing you around?
He's lying to himself. If Pops could have anything, it would be robo-legs or something. So we could chase forever. Pops, you have to realize it before you can get the benefits. Legacy is one thing. I can understand that better than you think. But fate is just making yourself a puppet to some imaginary agenda. The world's your playground! Get that and it will click for you. Ignore things like fate. Ignore borders or laws. They were made up by people who plan to ignore them anyway. I go where I want, when I want, and take whatever the hell I damn well please. And it's the only way to live.
That's just irresponsible. That's what it is.
Oh, no. Far be it from me to be irresponsible.
Quit being so cheeky. I'm saying you can't live life like that. Consequences will always catch up to you, Lupin.
Consequences, huh? Well, even if you don't understand now, but maybe when you get tired of chasing, you'll give my way a try. And when you can, you'll know what it feels like to control the universe.
Well, the first thing I'll be doing is putting you where you belong, behind bars.
It's never gonna happen! You should just accept that! I'm doing what I want with my life. Maybe you need to admit to yourself you're doing what you want to be doing too. But if you're having a miserable time, you can quit anytime you want.
Nope. For all your talk about freedom and escaping consequences, I've got you caught. We've been riding this train for a long time now, and if you had a plan, you'd have sprung it by now.
Yeah, Lupin's pretty pissed because he failed in this ending. He did not do a good job.
I caught you, and you're all out of steam. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay, he just blew it. Now it's war. There's a strange sound, and something pierces the window. The glass doesn't crack. Why would it? The movement is so deft and quick, the only pieces that split are along the thin, carefully intended line. The thing that pierced the window moves upward. Zenigata is looking at it now, too. It's moving fast, but even he can tell that it's the blade of a katana.
No!
Oh, look, that plant that I don't have! It just arrived! The blade moves up the roof of the car. Glass, wood, even steel. It doesn't matter. After all, this blade is known as the Zentetskin, the steel cutter. Sorry, Pops, not that this hasn't been a swell time, but I think that's my cue to leave. The roof crashes off the train. People who are out here wondering, who want to make your own visual novels. Even if it's terribly drawn sky, you always want a sky with clouds. Sky with clouds and black are your two go-to CGs that you can use in place of anything that you don't have time to draw. I would have loved to have a CG here of Goemon being really cool on the train, but again, we had to do this in under a month. So a lot of times a blue sky, and I use this for the Lupin Escapes ending too.
Where he's laying out and looking up at the sky,
Yeah. So, blue sky with puffy clouds. It's even a joke in the VNDev community that it's the Chad blue sky background. It's so good to use, and it's not it's not a cop-out. You have a limited amount of time to make everything, and sometimes you're just going to need some CGs of scenery or something. Tons of professional VNs will just use... They'll have a few backgrounds that can just cover stuff. It's totally fine to do. Yeah, bait. He cut the roof off the train. Of course this guy... See? This is... And I mean... I'm lucky enough for this scene to even have, the way we've set this up, I've got the side sprite of Lupin, so there's still visual appeal going on, which is extra nice. But probably a bunch of people played this game and didn't even think that, like, you know, I had to cover up a lack of assets. So, you know, don't cut out your pros just because you don't have a picture to go along with it. Just make sure you've got some CGs that can take care of, just covering your ass. It's a novel. People can use their imaginations. It's fine. The roof crashes off the train. Pops and me are standing in an open-air train car with nothing above us but sky. The wind whips through our hair. Goemon lands on the roof of the car behind us.
Zenigata, I advise you stand down.
He turns my way.
Lupin.
I wave. Goemon nods. A small, concentrated look. The signal that he's got this all under control. Goemon is fine with property damage. He's ruining this train far more than Pops in his boarded up windows. But maybe that will teach them that no one locks up Lupin the Third. Zenigata looks poised to face Goemon, despite knowing what could happen to him. He's brave. Stupid, but brave. Goemon takes another graceful leap, and his sword sweeps several times as he gets closer. Slice! Slice! Slice!
Those are Zentetsuken's lines.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No.
I'm so sorry. Goemon's like, those are Zentetsuken's lines.
Those are Zentetsuken's lines.
Okay, Goemon, you can read for Zentetsuken, right? Is it you want to do that? If that made you happy, buddy.
Oh my god, does Goemon have an elaborate voice for talking to Zentetsuken in private only and we've never heard it?
It's like how we have like a voice for Toro,
a voice for the pets.
Yeah, and he's got a voice.
He has a voice for Zentetsuken. We don't know what his voice is, but he has a voice for Zentetsuken.
It's Toro's voice.
Slice. I'm really happy about how he sliced that thing. It made me super... I'm gonna slice again. I don't think this is worthy of us, Goemon, but...
This is great because we also have an inside joke that Goemon is Toro's favorite, so Toro will be like,
oh yeah, I want voice Zentetsuken, that's great.
Anyway.
Nobody wants to hear about offense.
Slice. I hear the steel chains clatter to the ground. Ooh. He just cut me free. I know even without looking. Goemon's sword is sheathed with a click, and he scoops me up into his arms. A little embarrassing. I can stand on my own. I can jump off a speeding train all by myself, like a big boy. But it's pretty romantic to get swept up by some big, strong arms. Lupin's like, yeah.
I love how cute this is.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one still. There's a lot that... Learned a bunch about background paint.
Yeah, I mean, you're still learning, but
Yeah.
I love... this is a good loop go. I love.
So I leaned into his chest and just enjoy the ride. So warm. So we gave him that... We let him have that dreamy look on this one, too.
Yeah.
My hero! Thanks, Goemon.
You're welcome.
You did cut it a bit close, though.
Be grateful I cut it at all.
I give him a big squeeze across the chest. Oh, I'm so grateful. Goemon, you're so strong. He knows I'm teasing him, but it still makes him blush. Which is fun. He's adorable when he's shy. Goemon!
You are surprisingly light for your size. If you were more diligent, you would have more muscle.
Actually, I'm light because I still haven't had dinner. How about some sushi, samurai? He nods his head, which I think is a little unsafe, given that he's carrying me. But his stride is as sure-footed as if his eyes were open. Guess it's one of the millions of different things he's trained for.
That would be acceptable.
Ending 3. Once again, he has cut a worthless object.
Alright, so we'll show that scene in a second.
Yeah. Well, when you get all the endings, you unlock a special scene. So what we're going to do is... I'm going to teach you all a quick thing about Renpai real quickly. Preferences. See this skip unseen text? We've seen most of the text in this game right now, but if you click skip unseen text, then you can skip past text you haven't read as well. And that's mostly really helpful for people in game dev. If you lose your save files or you have to clear things out, then you can still skip through everything, which is super important. You gotta move fast when you're testing your games. All right, Jigen. All right, the view outside the window gets nice later. All right, so...
I also didn't know Pin. I didn't know you could skip over all the text if you wanted to. But yeah, it's really helpful. You just press that skip button in the bottom. Once you have it turned on to the right side.
All right, and hopefully it's not too loud, but quick audio warning. Jigen has a magnum, and he's about to fire it in the next few seconds. So take a quick second if you want to just prepare for that. I caught you. You're all out of steam, and there's nothing you can do. Oh,
and there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay, he just blew it. Now it's war. The sun is too bright to see outside the window, but I can hear the sound of a powerful vehicle getting closer. Somehow, people don't expect a little two-cylinder Fiat to be all that strong. Honestly, it was a shame to pop out that two-cylinder engine for a V8. I did some research on the Fiat 500 while I was writing this. I guess the Fiat 500 is known for having one of the strongest engines for a two-cylinder. So, you know, I love when they draw with like him opening up the back of the car and like having the jets. But I guess a Fiat anyway already has an incredibly powerful engine, so it's a cool little car. But we got to make it even stronger, and so it can go underwater. I don't know which he picks up on first.
That's space, by the way.
In space. Or my own curling grin. But Pops is on his feet in no time flat, peering out the window. Pops, you're gonna want to stay clear, or else...
Bang.
A bullet whizzes by Zenny got his head, close enough to ruffle his short hair and knock his hat askew.
Next one's going through your hat, Pops.
I stretch out as close as I can get to the window and call out, Jigen, took you long enough.
Could have got here faster if you'd have told me where you were going.
Well, it all started with Fujiko. You always gotta give Jigen a kiss, right? It's important. That's the most important game dev tip of the night.
Never mind, I don't want to know.
Pop shoves me back, but that's okay. Jigen knows for sure where I am now. Now, what did I tell you? Without fail, Jigen's there for me. Keep that check safe. I'll come pick it up sometime. Don't tear it up or I'll double your losses. I can't see Jigen down there, but I don't need to. I can tell exactly what's going on. He's got one hand on the wheel, one on his magnum, and all his attention on looking as cool as he possibly can. And boy, can he look cool. Really, it's a shame I can't see it. Hey, Pops, could you pull out your phone and snap a pic for me?
Just try and take him, Jigen. Lupin's all mine.
Jigen's a man of few words, but 6 bullets at a time.
Bang, 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 bang.
One spent, but he fires off 5. But he rapid fires off perfectly. Well, whoo, it's getting a little late. One spent, but he rapid fires off 5 perfectly accurate shots. Each magnum slug with enough power to crack the supports of the window. Oh, Pops, you're making him mad. The window gives a mighty creak and then snaps off, flying away into a cornfield. Pops rushes to the back of the train compartment, not to retreat, but to call for backup.
Officers, to the south! Jigen Daisuke, shoot out his tires!
There's a stampede of feet all around. The cars in front of and behind us must be filling up with his blue-clad peons. It's a nice try, really, but in the time they've taken to group up, Jigen will already have reloaded.
Bang.
Another shot, followed by yelling. Yelling, mind you, not screaming. Jigen's hitman days are long behind him. Cold-blooded murder is too chilly for his cool temperament. I don't know what he's doing now, but there's another shot.
Bang.
And the car ahead of me starts hollering too. The Fiat's engine roars, then starts to fade.
What the?
Pops' confused muttering resolves into a crow of triumph.
He's retreating. He's driving away. Bang.
The whole car shudders this time. Something behind us screeches, metal grinding against metal. And with another shot, the momentum in our car stops and Pops nearly trips right out the window. He overbalances, stumbling right into my lap. So forward of him. But hey, who am I to pass up an easy grope? But I'll pass on the fun bits. It's just his keys I'm groping today. Sorry, Pops. There must be 50 keys on both his key rings, but I spent long enough staring at these cuffs today. I know exactly which ones to look for. Pops is barely done sitting upright by the time I'm out of the cuffs. His face goes pale with recognition. By now, he knows when he's been beat. Doesn't stop him trying, though. Bless his stupid heart. He wraps his arms around me, and I know that at this point, any attempts to fluster him will be futile. The man is a Lupin catching machine, and I just happen to be Lupin. Too bad for him that as he reaches for my super manly shoulders, he realizes that I may be just a bit more small than he thought. I slip right out of his grasp. I hop up to the window and turn around to flash him one last grin. Great date, Pops, but you're coming on a little strong. Why don't you try playing hard to get for once?
Lupin! Get back here!
And he's devolved to empty shouting. The world's once again at balance. Bye, Pops. Toodles. Abayo. Catch you later. Without a single glance at the ground, I kick off the window, falling in a majestic arc backward. Jigen-chan will catch... Bonk. Oh! I hit my head on the sunroof on the way in and land in a crumpled heap over the armrest.
Damn it, Lupin!
I reorient myself in the passenger seat and take a look at the train as we speed away from it.
Always happy to assist with a stunt like that. But you could at least look before you leap. Ain't that a metaphor for your whole friggin' career?
The cig in his lips is already crumpled, hanging heavy at the end, but he chomps on the filter anyway. Why do I have to bother? After all, I've got the world's second best driver right here.
Second best. Sheesh, man. The guy goes through all this trouble for you, and all you've got for him is second best driver.
I crane my head out the window to get a look at the train. Jigen cut the connectors on the cars in front of and behind my car. The end of the train is a quarter-mile behind the car with Pops in it, and the rest of the train is still chugging along on its merry little way. Pops has clambered out the window and appears to be attempting to pursue on foot. I can't help but give him one last wave out the window and a cheer for good luck before I sit back and start rooting around in the ashtray. I'm not picky about butts, in cigs or women, but for both, you at least need something to hold on to, and there's no talent here. Jigen's head doesn't turn from the road, but a free hand does pull the mangled cigarette from between his lips. I sigh twice, once as he places the filter between my lips, and once after I've taken a deep, rich puff. These taste like I stuck my head in a chimney.
When in Rome, Lupin, you're stuck with my brand till we get back to France.
He holds a hand out, and we pass the cigarette back and forth. Cornfields, wheat fields, crops of all kinds roll past the window. Not the most stellar scenery, perhaps, but everything looks good out of those windows. Jigen takes the last drag and buries the spent soldier deep in the ashtray. His dumb hat and dumb beard blocking the view of... actually, he's a nice view, too.
Come on, man, don't stare at me like that.
There's a long ride ahead of us, and I know what it takes to make him blush. Ending 4, oh, that's a bad typo. There's another ending that's not labeled ending 4. There's no ending 2.
You're the worst programmer in the universe. Ending bad at labels.
I made it in a month! You two didn't find it, so...
That's your game.
It's not my fault. I can't be blamed.
Alright. Pull up Fujiko so we can go rest.
Alright, give me a second. I'm gonna let the credits play just once through, because there's other people who worked on this game. There's us. Camden put a lot of coding into it. We used a bunch of Dana Boulay and Til Paradiso songs. Cammy did the main theme at the start. The GUI template coding was by some other people, and then she did some stuff with it. And of course, Kazuhiko Kato deserves always to be mentioned. Because, you know, there's some people who got to the end of this game, and that's when they realized this It was a fan game. So, we've unlocked a special scene. So.
By getting ending 1, 2, 4, and 4.
Oh, and then this is listed as ending 4. And then they're in a different order here.
Wow, you're so good.
Oh.
That's what you do.
Whoa. Whoa. Alright, so Sprite Gallery, CG Gallery, you can look on Music Room, Developer Notes, and then you can see,
Yeah, some of the stuff you showed off, yeah.
we did some practice art beforehand. Also, with Lupin sitting there at the start. Thoughts, I played around with some possible other jokey poses, but in the end, I thought that one used the space the best. I thought there was some monkey punch energy. Faces.
Yeah, those are you showed those.
Yeah. Alright, bonus scene. Another train passes by. Oh, do you want to... But it's just your run-of-the-mill public transport, filled to the brim with everyday passengers. No sign of the big green steam engine he texted to me. No sign of any flashy, brightly colored suits. And no quirky little strangers saying hello in weird ways, beaming, just waiting to pull off their masks. Did I forget to take time zones into account? Where on earth is he? He can't have stood me up, could he? I was promised caviar, champagne, and something translucent, red, and stunning, which had better be a ruby the size of a corgi. Well, one thing's for sure. If Lupin thinks that there's a sex scene for him at the end of all this, he's out of his mind.
I think Oranges is the one who bought this.
Hell yeah.
They're right there.
Oh, yes! Yay, hey! Maybe I'll give him another 10 minutes. But then I'm done waiting. Nobody stands up Mine Fujiko. And I'm not even worried about him. Not even a little. Stay safe out there, Lupin.
And that's it.
That's it. That's the game what we did make. See, people complain, but Fujiko is in there.
Also, we found literally like 4 mistakes while doing this stream.
I think this one also was copy edited less than some of our other games as well.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the ending numbers and such. Why don't you just take out the words you know from each of those ones where you could have just
That's
not had
fix.
a U in them, and then you can fix the endings.
That's a good fix.
Upload a patch.
That's a good fix, but also I want to make a different game.
Well, we're working on that.
Yeah.
Maybe Camden will be generous and do that for you.
I don't know if she's even still around right now.
Well, if she is, then thank you, Camden, and if not, that's cool too.
That's not how you ask somebody to do something.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, that's our little game. Made it. I did like a little bit of prep work stuff a couple weeks beforehand, but like all the actual art, programming, and writing was done in a month. So I think it's okay that there's 1 or 2 little typos. It's not that big a
the
deal.
typos aren't the problem. It's the bad programming so that people couldn't get the endings.
I mean, they could get the endings.
I mean, they could, but some of them, even people who really wanted to, couldn't.
So yeah.
Well, thanks for sitting around and listening to us be annoying for so long.
Yes. Thank you. You can head on out. Let me know if anybody has any last minute questions before we're done with the stream. But
Sushi out.
Sushi out.
We gotta put our bird to bed.
Yeah, it's for bedtime right now. All right. Thanks to y'all for coming around. Thank you also for Cammie and Shannon for doing the chat beforehand. It was a pretty cool thing to get to do. We just planned on dicking around and reading the game, so it's neat. Livebait says goodbye to you and good night to Toro.
Goodbye. Bye, Livebait. Good night, tomorrow.
And Shannon says the smiling, it was fun. Or I was about to start reading out all of them. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody. We don't currently have any more plans to be streaming in the future. This was just to show this off. Maybe someday we'll do a little bit with Serialized Killer, maybe. That's something that we're hoping to like make more cases and stuff of. That one's got a lot. There's a lot more of that, but you know, we'll. But yeah, we are currently working on the JigLup game. Keep an eye on our Twitters. I think most of you are here from Twitter, so you know our Twitters. I'll post a couple links real quick. We are going to be asking for some help testing out chapter 1 of the JigLup game in just a little under a week, just a few days. And so we're going to be asking people, so keep an eye out for that. And so I sent, one's my Twitter, if you want to keep an eye out there. You can also keep an eye out on my itch.io page. We'll probably post an update on the Is Lupin Still Flirting game to let people know that we're looking for playtesters. So that, you know, we won't have any mistakes like the puzzle not making any sense whatsoever. The JigLup game's gonna have 3 chapters in it. So it's, as usual, much bigger than what we've made before, and a little intimidatingly so. But we've more or less got the writing and the general programming done for chapter 1. I'm just working on art right now, and the composer's working on some more music. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for stopping by, and I will indeed catch you all later. Bye-bye.